we already went into this knowing Daily Wire was fucking pieces of shit garbage that exploit their employees. So we're not shocked. The contract, by the way, is exactly what I would think a slimy Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring contract would look like. Was anybody, Mersh, were you shocked by the content of that contract? Because I would never sign with the Daily Wire. I think you're stupid if you do.
Even beyond it being the Daily Wire.
I'm sorry, let me be clear here. For $50 million, I will sign with the Daily Wire.
But over 4 years.
Over 4 years. Well,
I don't want to be Ben Shapiro's shadow schooler for longer than 1 year.
Fair enough.
Crowder left the Blaze. We all know that. And I guess he was in talks to start with another company and partner up with them and whatever. And they gave him a pretty disgusting contract. I mean, it's fucking funny too, because it's like, Jesus Christ, Crowder, our contract's not even nearly as bad as this one he got offered. I don't know who offered him this contract, and he doesn't say who. But whoever offered him this contract was, and I hate to be on the side of Steven Crowder, but they were treating him like a fucking mark. People are speculating it's Daily Wire. I have no confirmation that it's Daily Wire. Who knows? I think everyone's just assuming it's Daily Wire because Ben Shapiro is a rat-faced little Jewish man. But I have no evidence other than people just guessing based on Ben Shapiro's physiognomy. So let's watch this video. So
stopbigcon.com now exists to begin with. It's been a while. Either this has to stop, or I'm going to have to stop. Either this, what I'm about to discuss, has to stop, or I don't know. This may just not be for me anymore. So let me explain. Give me a few minutes of your time.
He does this once a year. It's January 17th, and Steven Crowder is, for the 20th time, threatening to quit, threatening to take his ball and go home. He does this once a fucking year. The fibromyalgia, the apocalypse, it's just, once a year, he's good for this.
Because context matters here. I ask that you don't skip ahead. It won't take very long. This has been a long time coming. This is a conversation that I've actively avoided, sidestepped, and I've hoped and prayed that it not be necessary behind the scenes for a long while, but that's no longer possible. So if you've watched for the last decade, you know that I've always made it clear that we here at Mug Club are in the business of serving you, the viewer, you watching, listening right now. I've also made it clear that I wouldn't be in the business of attacking other conservatives, regardless of disagreements or personal issues. And I've always explained my logic was relatively simple. I believe that the world was better with more voices out there rather than less, regardless of minute differences, considering the magnitude of the battle that we are genuinely fighting for our country right now. But for the first time, I have to say that I believe many of those in charge in the right-leaning media are actually at odds with what's best for you, the viewer, the customer, and more importantly, the country.
Let me translate this for you. Let me translate Crowder's circular, meandering statement here. Hi, guys. I've been sitting on something for a long time. I have for a long time known that this right-wing grift has been bleeding you fucking marks for years. I've known for years that the people I have on my show are all full of shit, t-shirt salesmen who are just taking advantage of right-wingers to make money. That was never a problem. I had hoped for many years to keep my mouth shut so that I would continue to be allowed the right to earn by these gatekeeping neocon scumbags. But now that I've had a bad negotiation and a falling out with one of these gatekeepers, I'm going to A, still not tell you who the fuck it is or what they're doing, and B, threaten and basically extort them live on my show to try to scare them into submission to give me the deal I want. You know what Crowder did a couple years ago? Remember when Crowder talked about how he sued, I don't think it was YouTube. I think it was Facebook. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I may not remember the who's, but I remember the what's.
A lawsuit that we're filing against Facebook Inc. regarding unfair competition, fraud, false advertising, and antitrust.
Woo! You've done more than all Republican senators.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit. Yeah. And I know that behind the scenes we've been disappointed that there have been 4 years and not a lot has been done about big tech. Can you clarify, because a lot of people go out and complain here about being banned or having something removed, and they're filing some petition. This is different from that. We are filing, in fact, you have filed a lawsuit. It's available at loudwestcrider.com.
There's going to be more information there. We're going to be providing that. We'll be keeping updates on folks. That's why I'm going to be spending more time away from the show and focusing on the lawsuit as we move forward. The reason why it's different is because we're going after Facebook based on its own words and its own promises. It's a platform that was, ever since 2016, when the Gizmodo article came out and said, oh, we're suppressing the feed. We're taking certain views and we're going to suppress them in the trending and news topics. We don't do that anymore. That's what Facebook said. We don't do it. They told Congress we don't do it. They told the consumers we don't do it. They told us that they don't do it. But over the course of the years, we've realized they actually are doing it. And we've seen it from the election stream that was cut off, from
He sued, I believe, Facebook for over censorship. Spent a lot of money hammering the fuck out of them with lawyers until they submitted. Except Crowder was telling people, join the Mug Club. You're helping me fight for free speech. We're gonna go to discovery and we're gonna find out exactly how these pieces of shit run their business and what they're doing. And then Facebook offered him a fucking settlement, and they said, look, we'll stop censoring you and we'll give you a couple bucks and we'll call it even and we'll have a fucking confidential settlement and everybody will move on. And what do you think happened? What do you think happened? He took the money and he kept his fucking mouth shut. He took the money and he kept his mouth shut. It never went to discovery. We never got to that point. He didn't fight the good fight. He just extorted him for a couple bucks and moved on. And now he's doing it to whoever. And people are speculating again. It could be Daily Wire. Or I think I saw some guy on Twitter retweeted that retard Pot Awful, and he's like, oh, we've got an exclusive. This is the contracts from the Blaze. This is what Alex Steiner. And everybody's like this. He literally says it's not the Blaze. So good job listening, paying attention. He's doing the don't make me tell people what I know. But at the same, like, I would respect that. I respect extortion. I respect criminality. I do. One of the best things Nick Fuentes ever said was crime is based. It is. I agree with him on that. It's one of the only things that KRG said, I wish you well with your battle with alcoholism. Goodbye. Oh, well, that's just going to make me want to drink more. Hey, calling me an alcoholic's a trigger. That's a trigger, sir. You shouldn't do that. Criminals are based. Are people who like destroy the community. Like, there's a difference between criminals and thugs. Being a thug isn't fucking gay. I'm not gay. Now I'm saying, and then calling the guy gay. Being a thug isn't based, but criminality is kind of based, right? Like, Trailer Park Boys, those guys fucking, you know what I mean? Siphoning gas from a gas station's pretty based. You know what I mean? It's fucking, you know what I mean? Running guns and drugs is pretty based. It is. Sorry. Selling crack's not based. Moving like pounds of cocaine, pretty based. So I'm not moral fagging on Crowder here about the extortion angle, because I think extortion rules. I would never do it, because if I ever got caught doing it, it's a big fucking whatever. But see, Ryan King not getting caught is based. Paving your driveway with hash, based. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate the help, but I need you to get the fuck off the driveway. Leaking OnlyFans content is based. Arnold Nicotina, thank you. But it's not the extortion I have a problem with, Steve. What I have a problem with is you're trying to extort whoever sent you this contract, but on the other hand, you're trying to somehow do this. I know you love theater, and he's doing theater right now. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. I'm going to extort whoever the fuck I'm trying to extort, but I'm also going to make my fans think that I'm some sort of free speech hero, and that I'm going to fight the good fight for you, just like I did with Facebook, except I just took the money. He's just going to take the money. I don't care if you want to extort people, but if you want to extort people while telling your entire fan base, no. What I'm doing is pretty based. I'm actually fighting the good fight. I'm going to expose these hypocrites. Then expose them now. Why is the contract? Why is it all fucking redacted? Why do you have a fucking paper with black bars covering the name of the company? Because you're full of shit, Steve. You're extorting one side and selling yourself to the other side as a fucking culture warrior. You're garbage. You're slime.
We here at Mug Club, we thought that we were all in this together, that we were fighting the media, entertainment, industrial complex. We thought that we were all genuinely taking it to big tech. But
you don't believe that. You don't really believe that, do you? Please tell me you're not stupid. I mean, I know you're a sociopath, and I know you're you got some shit going on behind. Look at those Adderall eyes. I got Adderall eyes too, homie, but look at this, man. You know that's a lie. You've been taking advantage of this fucking culture for years. You failed as a comedian. You failed at many other things. But your gay little skits went over big with the boomer crowd. You're lying, Steve. I really thought we were going to take down big tech. Then why didn't you proceed with the Facebook lawsuit? Why didn't you proceed with a lawsuit against YouTube? Because when you're big enough and they'll settle and they'll give you some money and cover your legal fees and ask you to just keep it shut. See, the real hero would have said, no, I've got a big war chest. We're going to court. I'm subpoenaing specific request record. I'm going to request and subpoena specific records during a narrow search, during discovery, that a judge will easily approve. And now we get to run through your fucking back end code and see what you guys are doing to ban people. But they said, no, here's, whatever. Here's 50 grand, whatever. It's confidential, but let's say 50 grand. Oh, here's your legal expenses plus 50 G's and we'll reinstate you and we won't have this problem again. Perfect. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Jordan Peterson, who just got signed to the Daily Wire, actually tweeted out support for Steven Crowder. Okay, he says Steven Crowder on the hypocrisy of the conservative legacy media. He tweets this out, right? And then after tweeting it out, he took it down, right? He deleted it. So obviously, the powers that be, particularly at Daily Wire, probably told Jordan Peterson that, hey, you can't put this video out in support of Steven Crowder, who basically made a video saying that, hey, I'm about to try to challenge you guys, right? I'm about to get into your business and become competition.
A few days ago, I penned an irritated tweet in response to one of the latest happenings on the increasingly heated culture war front. In response to the decision of an actor named Ellen Elliott Page. I am employing this awkward and impossible naming style because it is now apparently mandatory, and am probably doing it wrong nonetheless, as you're doing it wrong is the whole point of what has been made mandatory. But also, I'm trying to make a point. I've essentially been banned from Twitter as a consequence. I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that.
So, I know what you're thinking. Last week we covered a lot of the Crowder and the Shapiro stuff.
Look, guys, I know what you're thinking. You still would. But you got to remember that there was herpes medication on her medicine cabinet when she took a picture one time.
This is a problem.
So that is a...
When I pulled up this video, I was like, oh, it was like, Michaela Peterson, finally going to give, this is what we've been waiting for. What is Michaela Peterson? Whenever some big event happens, Mersh and I always go, what does our meat queen, Michaela Peterson, have to say about it? So she decided to talk about how great or how her experience with Daily Wire was. Now, before I pulled the picture up, the first thing I said before I pulled the video up was that, yes, you still would have to have sex with her. Because, yes, she is hot. However, she's insane.
Oh, absolutely batshit.
This is a woman who is crazy.
Hey guys, so I'm not sure if you've seen, but Steven Crowder made a video about an offer he received from the Daily Wire. He criticized DW.
Ah, yes, Michaela Peterson, whose claim to fame is being Jordan Peterson's fuckable daughter.
I mean, it's if you're gonna cut it down to if you're gonna split it to its most basic atom, yes.
I heard that Andrew Tate split her like an atom.
Oh, and I'll say this: I've always gotten the impression that she is an absolute fucking piggo.
Oh, like, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
mattress on the floor.
I think Tate cried after. That's how fucking nasty she is.
You think she got him?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
After fucking her once, Tate's on the phone calling and apologizing to his mother.
Yes. I've been a bad boy, Mom.
For supporting big tax.
Staring at the wall in the shower till the water's cold.
Oh, Mersh, when you get a chance on the Rumble, every once in a while, just check our comments. Depending on what the timestamp in our video, we're being called Daily Wire Jew-sucking assholes or lefties, cool. Lefties, or we're being called. It's either Crowder is right, you guys are faggots, or Ben Shapiro was right, you guys are faggots, or you guys look like faggots. That's just a neutral one.
Listen, if all of you fake neocon people that are like all you millionaire fucking gatekeeping like fake conservatives, if you all hate me like that, then I guess we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Absolutely do it. If one side likes you more than the other, then you're doing too much.
17th, Jeremy Boring, the CEO of...
Not to be confused with Boring Jeremy, the quartering.
Yes. Got to remember, Jeremy Boring is the guy from Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro's business partner. Boring Jeremy is the guy from the quartering with the meme veteran hat. You got to remember, he's the one sucking Crowder's dick.
Right.
of DW made a response video. And then on January 18th, Stephen posted another video where he played part of a conversation with Jeremy that he had recorded on the phone without Jeremy knowing. The whole
Dude, honestly, it's so funny seeing this blow up in Crowder's face. A lot of people have been like, yeah, wow, dude. Wow. Like, you registered that website before you left Blaze, and then you call in Jeremy. Like, look, and again, do not have to take Daily Wire's side on this. It was a shitty contract, and they're shitty people. But they were being pretty transparent with Steven Crowder, and he's doing some Richard Nixon shit like a lunatic.
Here's the thing with the recording of the contract thing, because a lot of people were commenting, and I think rightfully so, to be fair, going like, look, in this day and age, you should be recording your contract negotiations in case they try to fuck you, which I find. I don't think recording them for your own protection is one thing, but to make it like a bit on the show, like, you understand what I'm saying? There's a difference, right?
Still recording in secret is still.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
I even brought up on Nightwave, me and Royce have recorded some conference calls we've had with potential whatever, whether it's potential streaming platform or like a fucking potential sponsor. We don't always do it, but there are times when it's like a new group of people we're dealing with, and we'll say right at the beginning,
oh yeah,
hey, we're on Zoom. I just want to, we're just recording this, just in case.
Also for the other reason, because we forget shit and it's easy to go back and just listen to it.
Yeah, so it's just like, hey, I'm just letting you know we're recording this just to cover everybody's butt. And usually if somebody's not being, I guarantee you if Steven said, look, I'm recording this to cover my ass, Jeremy probably would have been like, all right, it's fine, whatever. Yeah.
thing's crazy. Given Dad is signed with DW.
Given Dad.
My daddy.
It's weird, right?
My daddy.
Isn't that weird?
I thought I'd comment a bit about...
If you're going to be a streamer or whatever you are, and you call your dad, even if you're referring to your dad in this scenario, you say Jordan Peterson.
The contract.
My father, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, that would have been fine with that.
Gas brand.
Who arc in his basement, Neocon be his name.
And help negotiate the contract the dad signed, as well as tell you what working with DW has been like. Also, I like Steven Crowder. I think he's extremely entertaining.
All these people do is lie to each other about how funny their friends are.
They're like LA comics.
And oh God.
They're like the LA scene.
Oh
I love him.
God,
He's brilliant.
100%.
Great guy.
I've watched him comment on the election. It's funny. My guess is the point of this whole thing must be to launch something that would be considered in competition with DW, his own platform. That's my guess. I have no idea if that's true.
Why would you want to compete with Darkwing Duck?
Yeah.
And that would
nobody can. It's like you have no hope.
Who's going to protect Duckburg? Who's going to protect Duckburg? Think about it.
Be fine.
Duckburg protect probably Jordan Peterson. Yeah. See what I did there?
And Ben Shapiro, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Duckburg needs an Iron Dome.
Yeah, and then you're not allowed to, you have one.
No.
Merrier. There should be more conservative platforms out there, but that's no reason to tear each other down.
Hey, have an idea, guys. Goes to one conservative platforms. Make your own show and go to Rumble. You get to keep all your shit. It's way easier.
Did you see the meme I retweeted the other day where it was a new political chart and it was like big tech friendly. It was like one of those spectrums of politics. Yeah, they had the left and there was a box in there and then a mini right and left and the conservative within that and then the real right wing. They were like big tech barrier and then real right wing was George Washington going, why are women voting?
Yes.
And then it went even further and it was Louis XIV and he's like, why are people voting? And I was like, dude, that was the best chart ever.
Like that.
I love it with the why are women voting all the way back to France and why are people voting?
Why are voting?
And create drama, in
You're
my
not,
opinion.
you're not conservatives. You flew out with your fucking herpes to bang a fucking kickboxer who runs a fucking human trafficking camel site. None of you are conservatives. Your dad named you after Mikhail Gorbachev. That literally is what he named her after. And his entire house...
Is that for real?
That's for real. And his entire house is full of,
I didn't know that.
commie, memorabilia.
Why would you name...
Because he's a commie.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I think everyone should have a bloody Neuralink tied to their Twitter account.
By the way, I want to...
Fuck him.
By the way...
I think we should all get the bloody mark of the beast. Mm-hmm. What? What the fuck, man? Get off Twitter.
I thought I should.
It's one of those things if a significant other misplaces it, you're like, where the fuck is that? I told you not to touch that.
And if you bring this out in public, you could drink in public because it's like a brown bag. No one knows what's in here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
His
Well, I like to put
insinuation.
wine in a can anyway, in a soda can.
Look at the gestures. Look at the gestures.
I'm always gesturing violently, so a can is really good for me.
Though that people working at DW are locked into contracts they don't like, taken advantage of, and forced to do whatever DW says, because that makes my dad look naive and incompetent. Of which,
well, to be fair, ever since he came back from that fucking weird cloning lab in Romania, wherever the fuck stem cell torture lab you sent them to, he came back pretty weird.
Wasn't it Russia?
That was Croatia.
No, it was Moscow. It was literally Moscow.
Yeah, it was Moscow. It was
What?
Russia.
We are learning new details this morning about the physical state of controversial psychologist and author Jordan Peterson. His family says he's in Russia undergoing what they describe as, quote, an emergency detox.
I swear to God, I remember
Literally
this.
Moscow. Yeah, they had him in a fucking medically induced coma.
Okay, come on, man.
What
No,
is-
I swear to
okay,
God, this is what happened.
you know what it is, Mersh? It's one of those Nick Fury robots, like from the Marvel Presents Nick Fury Agents
Is
of
he
S.H.I.E.L.D.
dead too?
David
No,
Hasselhoff's career
probably.
is very much alive.
Dude, no, straight up, Jordan Peterson has fucking brain damage. There's no way he fucking does it. They had to put him in a medically induced coma because of how much fucking Xanax he was taking.
He had to go to
because
a
he would have died.
special
He would have
place
died from the fucking withdrawal.
in
He went to one of
Moscow.
them bald and bankrupt hospitals.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've got a friend. Yeah, you always seem to have a friend.
And the intelligence agency.
Yeah, you always seem to have a friend that can get you on a private plane to a fucking clinic. Yeah, really nice.
He is neither. So I like Steven again, but I think things need explaining on our end anyway. If
Who's RN? Do you own Daily Wire?
you're an artist or an entertainer, or in my dad's case,
A pill-addicted psychopath who's taking out all his insecurities about his mom on you and saying you're the one with mommy issues when you're the one that clearly has them. Or whatever you're going to say, I guess, is fine too.
intellectual internet dad.
Intellectual internet dad.
You should never be embracing that.
Mercer's the internet cat dad. We've been calling him that.
Yeah, I care about the kitties.
Internet cat dad.
And you get a contract.
But nobody should be, like, you should never trust anybody who leans into that unironically. That's not a good thing. That's not the trait of a good person. Nobody should be saying like, I know I say it about Alex Jones, like he's my internet dad. Stein says Tucker's his biological dad.
Which is funny.
But like, if you're pushing yourself to your audience as like, I'm up here, right? I'm lofty. I'm your dad. You're all my kids. That's really creepy, and you're moving into cult world when you do that shit. Why are they openly saying that?
Because they openly believe it.
Yeah, this is the daughter of a clinical psychologist promoting parasocial relationships with her father. This is fucking insane.
Thank you for making it even more cutting. But that's exactly what it is.
That's 100% what it is.
Second. Every time she says dad from now on, picture her saying father. This is a fucking cult.
I told you, yeah, that's it. This is all brand reinforcement.
Yeah.
There's a reason she's not saying my dad. She's saying dad because she established our internet dad, and she's kind of like one of the high priestesses
And she doesn't want to
in
confuse
this church.
She doesn't want to confuse it with Andrew Tate, who she calls daddy.
Yeah, that's daddy. That's
Yeah,
different.
oh yeah.
Maybe 70%
You
of
think
their
they ever
income.
accidentally, text the wrong one because of how she has them in her phone?
I think that both of them would. She texts both of them the same way.
Okay, group chat.
Yeah. It's a group chat.
Oh God.
Ann says she's a meat whore. The group chat's titled "The Butcher Shop."
Come for decades. Fortunately, we're not naive, and we've negotiated business deals before. I'd also like to address the fact that Dad retweeted Steven's video to add to the drama because Steven sent it around, and Dad does that to support Steven because we like him. But when
Steven sent it around, so now she's saying that Jordan retweeted it because Steven sent it to him, and now they're saying that he was Daily Wire. He works where he's trying to fuck me. Now, here's my thing. Do I believe Steven sent it around to his friends? Yes, I do believe that. But also, do I believe Jordan Peterson would have retweeted that organically? Yes, I also think that.
Yeah, of course, because it's his buddy.
Yeah.
Dad found out what the video was,
When Dad found out what the video
When Dad
was,
found out he was talking about our bosses, I said, "Oh, we take that back."
Dad agreed with it initially because it's a horrible contract. When he realized, oh my God, those are the people paying me.
And Steven probably sent this to everyone over at the Daily Wire, like under a certain level, just because he wanted to stir shit over there too, because he knew he'd get other people in trouble for retweeting.
I don't hate that.
And when Dad found out,
I'll be honest with you. I don't hate that.
I get it, but he's an evil.
No,
son
I
of a bitch.
know. I get it. But I'm sorry. Let me be clear. Let's just say this in the right way. I don't hate the outcome.
No, of course.
Because I feel like John Lovett's looking behind the curtain in fucking Wedding Singer. You know.
I wish Steven Crowder had dragged this out a little while longer and then revealed that he was a faggot, so that he could have at least done more damage to Daily Wire.
Yeah.
That's my only regret.
he deleted the tweet. DW actually asked him not to delete it because they said it would look like they had asked him to delete it. But
when Daddy asked
Wait, so hold on. So this whole video is now she is the cover for Father, as
Yes.
you pointed out.
The high priestess of the Church of Jordan Peterson.
Go into the masters and tell them my secret.
Father made a mistake. He texted her. She had to do damage control, so she pulled her clit out of Andrew Tate's ass and fucking got the hell out of
She's
there.
got to do it.
But at that point, he already deleted it.
it's your duty as my daughter to protect me from the bloody troll demons.
They're so scary. They're
You know
cowards.
how many times she's banging a dude and she has to go, sorry, Father's calling me. Yes, Papa?
No, don't stop. It's
No.
fine.
Sorry,
Yeah, well, you
Keep going. And then she face calls him and makes her dad go, look, he's eating me out,
Hello, Father. My vagina is being eaten right now. What is it? Yes, I would love steak for dinner. Thank you. Goodbye, Father.
And who's eating you out? And then all of a sudden you hear, ba-ba-na-no now.
Oh, God, no.
He
would gagging.
No, Dave Lando. Ah, twist.
Okay, so this is Jeremy Boring. He is the co-CEO of the Daily Wire. Let's just get into this as fast as possible.
All right. Our friend Steven Crowder has launched a new initiative called Stop Big Con. And in the video announcing the launch of the project, he talked about leaving the blaze and all the different offers that he fielded from other conservative organizations and what he thought were the real problems with those offers. And that's led
You're really talking
a lot
about
of
one
people to
offer.
speculate about whether or not the Daily Wire is one of the people who made him an offer. In particular, are we the ones who made the offer that he put up on the screen and talked about at length? And the answer is yes, that offer did come from the Daily Wire.
Okay, so we asked this question yesterday. I'm not going to pause it too much, and I'm going to try and talk fast. Yes, it's confirmed now. This is the Daily Wire, straight from the co-CEO's mouth, that not only did they make an offer, but they made the particular offer that Steven Crowder was talking about. This is kind of the right move to come out and just own it, I think, because it was pretty clear that Crowder would produce the receipts and out the Daily Wire eventually if they tried to like weasel around it. So this is the right thing for them to do, although I think it's the wrong tack. I think they should say, you know what, we actually agree. We actually agree with the principle behind Stop Big Con. And you know what? We're taking his feedback under consideration. We have some disagreements about it, and there's some aspects of it, but let's honestly go through this contract. Now, maybe he says this, but he should say, you know what? We have this opportunity as a powerhouse in the conservative industry to be leaders in this, and we love to partner with Crowder on creating a better system, and we like his Stop Big Con movement and the idea that we're going to foster a community of creators in this space. I think that might have been the better PR move than whatever he's about to say, but I don't even know what he's about to say. I just have a feeling it's not what I said right now. That's what I would have done. And again, you can still take issue and you can clarify things to try and do it, but owning the fact that and this is not limited to conservative media, okay? That media contracts in general, and a lot of contracts in general, start off predatory, especially when there's big money on one end and maybe a non-sophisticated party on the other. Now, in this case, you had Steven Crowder, who is a very sophisticated party. He's been negotiating contracts like this since 2009. That's a pretty fucking long time. But other creators are not. And so starting with a predatory premise in your contract from one of the big people in the movement, that is a problem. Like, that principle itself is a problem in conservative media, and we don't have to do business this way. This is the most important thing that you get in some of your classes in law school, particularly your legal drafting classes, is the fucking contract bullshit that we're all used to seeing. We go, wow, that's just because some lawyer did this. You don't have to write contracts this way. Contracts don't have to be 80-page monstrosities with different provisions for every time someone farts into a microphone, Ethan Ralph. They don't have to do that. The reason they do that is because they start with a predatory premise and force you to come in and negotiate shit away because they want to be able to have leverage over you. And they think by having a list of insane things in there that you'll come in and negotiate out, that will reduce the amounts of other places where you leverage, because your brain thinks, well, if I'm negotiating this and this and this, I probably can't negotiate as hard here, here, and here. That's the psychological game that's being played, and it doesn't have to be. There's no reason for it to be. And if we're going to be collaborative and if we're going to build a space as sort of an alliance of, they're competing businesses, but we compete in the Randian way, the free market capitalist way, the way that says we're going to compete based on merit and based on talent, and we're going to help you be better because we're better than you are now, and so you'll want to beat us next time. That's the type of spirited competition that builds industries. And we can start there instead of starting with this very, very adversarial process and hoping that the predatory nature of what we're doing kind of drowns out their negotiating options. You can go two ways. I would have gone the other way, but I'm that kind of guy.
First thing you should know is that I'm really miserable to be making this video. Steven's been my friend for 10 years. I think he's maybe the most talented person working in the conservative media space. He's one of the top.
Then why did you kind of send him a shit offer? And I know he's going to say, well, this is only a first offer with no negotiation. If he's a friend that you've had for 10 years and he's the most talented guy in the industry, why are you starting from a shit premise? Why are you doing that?
Now to have a next chapter, what do you want that next chapter to be? And Steven's agent candidly just wasn't interested in any aspect of that conversation. He only wanted to know about the money. He said, we're not going to have a conversation. We're going to have some abstract talk. We're going to send us an offer. Tell us how much money you're willing to pay. Yep. And he gave us an indication of what the minimum number would have to be in order to even have a discussion with Steven. And it's a big number.
He did you a favor.
So we talked about it internally, and we decided, we should do that. We should send over an opening offer, a non-binding term sheet that takes a stab at what we think that minimum number is going to be to get the conversation started, so we can sit down with Steven so that we can see if there's a deal that'd be good for him and good for us. And that's what we did. We put together the term sheet, we sent it over, and we asked if we could get on the phone and have a conversation with Steven. I'm going to walk you through.
Okay, again, non-binding term sheet. They're given. He seemed to double speak there. I don't know if you guys caught it, but he seemed to indicate that the agent gave him an idea of what that number would be, and then they came up with a number of what that number would be and sent it, which tells me that the agent told them a number and they went lower than the number. So they're already, in my opinion, I don't know if this is true. It's just the way he said it. It was kind of a weird wording and phrasing of it, but it sounds like they went, okay, that's where they're going to say, which is going to be high. So we're going to come in a little bit lower, and then we'll probably meet somewhere in the middle. But if the agent says, look, we're not talking under $70 million over 4 years, whatever. We're not talking less than $20 million a year. And they come in with $50 million over 4 years with maybe some incentive or whatever. I'm not sure what the total is. I've only heard kind of rumors about it. But if they come in below the number, then they don't want to come to the fucking table. Like if someone says, look, our minimum entry is here, that might be the minimum entry, especially if you're friends, especially if you're colleagues, and they know who Crowder is, right? Like Crowder is going to make this money, whether Daily Wire does it or not. And it might be that Crowder would join Fox. I don't think so, but hypothetically, or OAN. I really don't think so, but hypothetically, there could be a competing offer on the table for someone like Steven Crowder. You don't know. So they shot their shot, and it was low. That seems to be the indication I'm getting. Crowder thinks it's low. If the money was higher, maybe. But it might not just be low because of the number. It might be low because of those other terms that are automatically going to reduce the number. And one of those terms that they know is going to reduce the number is him being demonetized on YouTube, which has already happened. So whatever offer they put on the table, when they have that 25% off thing, that 25% is going to be coming off of that offer immediately because he's already demonetized. So you got to take whatever and knock a quarter off of it. And if you don't think their lawyers are going to argue that that 25% discount is coming out of the fee immediately, you're insane. I've heard some people say, well, it was already off, so he wouldn't lose the 25%. No, he'll lose the 25%. And if he ever gets remonetized, he would get that 25% tacked back on. That's how their lawyers would argue that in a contract dispute, and it would happen right away.
So first, here's the document, the non-binding confidential term sheet. I was going to walk you through it. Full transparency. This non-binding term sheet sets forth the basic deal points of a proposed content production and distribution agreement between the Daily Wire, LLC, a Texas limited liability company, and Steven Crowder via his loan out, so that if and when the parties elect to move forward with a long-form agreement, they can move quickly in preparing a definitive and binding agreement. That's just legalese. That means this is just a conversation.
Okay. So yeah, it's just a conversation. I'm guessing he's going to go through this, but here we can see fee is $50 million for the initial term, which is 4 years, and then $25 million for every 2-year renewal at Daily Wire's sole discretion. So Daily Wire can choose to renew the contract or not after the 4 years for half the term, half the money. Makes sense. There's no built-in increase, which you would probably negotiate a built-in increase if you're going to have that renewal term in there. But for now, I think this is fair, or you negotiate some sort of thing in there. But this is it. So you're looking at $50 million over 4 years is what, $12.5 million a year, right? Do we have any idea? Do we have any idea how many Mug Club subscribers there are and how much Mug Club costs? How much does Mug Club cost? Mug Club cost. Mug Club is still on Blaze TV, $100 a year. $100 a year. Okay, so if he has 300,000, I'm seeing, times $100 a year, that's $30 million a year. My understanding is under the fee agreement, that goes to Daily Wire. So now I know it's not going to be that flat because there's incentives. Some people are saying it's $80 a year with the sale. But 300,000. Let's say it's $50 a year. You're at $15 million a year. So even at half price, he's already, just from Mug Club alone, over the Daily Wire yearly thing. It's only expected to go up. His Mug Club memberships are not expected to drop dramatically. So we've already got a problem. And this is probably where the conversation started, with the amount of money that would be required to even have the conversation with Crowder. You've got to out-earn Mug Club, or you've got to get me to Mug Club or slightly below with some reasonable level of security that Mug Club doesn't offer me. These are the types of things that you're asking questions on. Why would Crowder negotiate his salary down $7 million a year? Like, why would he do that? Like, why is that? Why would we expect him to? Now, maybe he would if something was worth that to him. Skyrim96, from what I've seen so far, he's missing the point. It wasn't about the money. It was about the Daily Wire not going against big tech. That was the point from what my knowledge. When's the last time Ben has had a strike? And this has been something I've been seeing lately. When has Daily Wire been in danger with YouTube and big tech? They don't seem to have any danger problems there. They don't seem to talk about any content. The last time I remember Ben Shapiro being a problem with anything remotely close to big tech was Berkeley, right? And that's not big tech. That's big edu, big.edu. But when the Battle of Berkeley, I think that was Shapiro, wasn't it? Where they refused to let him speak or whatever. But it's been a couple years since I've heard of Ben Shapiro being canceled from an engagement. Now, maybe I'm wrong because I don't pay that much attention.
For a loose offer. And then they're going to beat it up a little bit. They're going to say, well, this should be higher and this should be lower. And you're going to come back and say, no, we're going to stand firm here, but we're willing to compromise there. And over time, you either get to a deal or you don't get to a deal. But that's how a good faith negotiation always works.
No,
100% of every interaction I've ever had with any talent, that's the process.
That's a shit process. That's a shit process. But like, I've negotiated friendlier divorces than that shit. Fuck off. Come on.
And so here we go. Here was our offer. A 4-year initial term with 2-year renewal at DW's sole discretion. That just means Steven's going to work for DW for 4 years. And if it's going really well, DW can retain him for an additional 2 years. 2, the fee. Remember, this is the minimum number that we thought would get the conversation started with Steven. $50 million for the initial term, plus $25 million for the renewal term, if extended, paid in monthly installments. Like I say, a pretty big number, but we thought for a talent like Steven, this is probably the minimum number that's going to get us in the door so that we can sit down and talk to him.
Again, that
3,
$50 million
production costs. This is important.
The $50 million sounds like a lot until you realize that Crowder probably already out-earns that $50 million.
We've never made a deal quite like the offer that we put in front of Stephen, because Stephen, very independent guy. I mean, all of our talent have very independent voices. Obviously, we can't tell them what to say. You know, Candace says what she wants, and Jordan Peterson says what he wants.
Jordan Peterson, who just got signed to the Daily Wire, actually tweeted out support for Steven Crowder. Okay, he says Steven Crowder on the hypocrisy of the conservative legacy media. He tweets this out, right? And then after tweeting it out, he took it down, right? He deleted it. So obviously, the powers that be, particularly at Daily Wire, probably told Jordan Peterson, hey, you can't put this video out in support of Steven Crowder, who basically made a video saying that, hey, I'm about to try to challenge you guys, right? I'm about to get into your business and become competition.
But Stephen has always built in this protection for himself that he wants to actually produce his content. He doesn't want, you know, most of our guys, they come to the studio and we turn on the cameras, we point the cameras, we point the lights. Stephen likes to do that with his own team to just make doubly sure that no one's interfering with his content, not that we would. And so we anticipated that, and we said, Crowder will bear the burden of production, including all costs associated therewith, on all the content contemplated herein, except on the quarterly and annual content contemplated below. We'll get to that part.
Okay, and they're just going to breeze past that. Crowder's already doing that. Crowder's already bearing the burden of the cost of his show, so they're asking him to take a pay cut, and they're not even taking on production costs for him. Because we know that Crowder wants to do that. That's a very weaselly way around saying that, yeah, not only are we giving him this offer that seems lower than his Mug Club membership already brings in, but we're also not going to defray the low offer by covering production and staffing costs, because we think Crowder would want that. He's always built that protection in. Well, building that protection in is great. Why don't you pay the staff then? Take them on his Daily Wire staff or something. Agree to do that. There are ways around that. But if you're giving him a lower fee than what he's already making, and he's still bearing the cost of production, what incentive does he have to take the lower fee?
A little bit later, it's kind of a novel concept. The quality of the production will be as good as or better than his currently existing content. This just, again, Steven's going to produce his own content. It has to be as good as the stuff that Steven's audience has come to expect from him. And that'll come out of the $50 million. So it's not like all of that $50 million goes right in Steven's pocket. He's going to use some of it to pay for
a lot of it,
producers and studio space and camera equipment and operators and lights. Just like we're going to use some of the money that we make to pay for the infrastructure and the technology and the marketing and the legal and all the other parts that go into making a successful business. Revenue collection that says we'll have the exclusive right to realize revenue in connection with all of his content and brand. We're paying you this guaranteed significant amount of money, $50 million. And for that, one of the things we're buying is the content, but we're also buying the right to monetize the content so that we can have a chance of making some money and not just spending money. What is the content? First, we broke this into...
Yeah, so they'll take the money, all of the monetization. They're going to pay him, and in exchange, they say they're buying the content. They're buying the money that the content earns. I mean, that's their risk in this, is that Crowder will produce content that people continue to want to buy, that they'll continue to pay to support. That's their downside risk. And that makes perfect sense. But again, what they're doing is they're saying, like, again, hypothetically, Mug Club makes $15 million a year based on that one number that we picked. Like, I don't know what the actual number is. Maybe it's way lower. I have no idea. But let's say it's $15 million a year, because that's kind of looks like a safe bet. What they're saying is we're going to buy $15 million a year for $12.5 million. That's what they're saying. Now, their risk is that Mug Club will stop producing $15 million a year. Crowder's risk is that he's going to out-earn the $12.5 million. But Crowder's already realizing the risk and has no upside potential. There's no benefit to Crowder to signing the contract. And they should know that. Like, they should have, you'd think they'd have done market research. You'd think they'd have a friend at the Crowder show somewhere who would be willing to tell them what the subscriber numbers are. And I mean, to be fair, maybe they did. Maybe the subscriber numbers aren't as high as people are estimating. Azzy5030 says, overlapping audience, Crowder has never proved Mug Club would be all new subs. It's true. But for Crowder, all of the Mug Club subs are lost the moment he goes to Daily Wire. All of that revenue is gone, no matter if it's overlapping or not. So Daily Wire, and again, this is part of the risk, but the reality is that Crowder's show likely will continue to grow so long as he does it. This is the trend on social media. Things tend to keep growing the longer you do it. The rate at which they grow is different for each person, but they tend to increase. Rob Raz says, why do you keep saying what he is already making? Mug Club belongs to Blaze, not Steven. Steven was under a Daily Wire-like contract with the Blaze. Yeah, but Steven can monetize Mug Club. And it sounds like Steven has some sort of Mug Club going again, because he's talking about how Mug Club kept everything afloat. Mug Club made everything happen. And we don't know the nature of his Blaze agreement. So I'm going to assume that the Mug Club, which might have been through Blaze, but was definitely specifically associated with Crowder, I'm going to assume that money is either there or will be there very easily if he needs to open it up again.
And then E, additional Crowder content. What is this? I don't know, but presumably over the next 4 to 6 years, we might come up with other things that either he wants to do or we want to do. So we built a sort of catch-all bucket. If we and Crowder mutually agree to create additional content not currently contemplated, then we pay him $15,000 a day for that shoot. And again, a lot of that would be days he was already shooting. So that's just a little extra money in his pocket if we do something extra.
Cool.
Item 6, back catalog. Crowder will license his entire back catalog including without limitation every past episode of Louder with Crowder to us during the term. That just
Okay, so everything that Crowder has ever created on Louder with Crowder now belongs to Daily Wire as well, and they monetize that also. This is reasonable in some sense because it's practicable, right? Like, it's hard to separate out where, like, you can, but you'd be paying an accountant a whole shitload of money, where the revenue comes on existing airings, right? As people go and watch the back catalog, like, to separate out that from the new catalog would be burdensome. So this makes sense, but it is important to remember that all of the new content that is produced under the Daily Wire contract, sure, that goes to Daily Wire, but also all old content is licensed to Daily Wire. They can do whatever they want with it. They can republish it. They can just reap existing money. They can go back and recut it with ads and do like archive episodes or however they want to do it. They can chop it up into new stuff. And Crowder doesn't get anything out of that because he's granting them a license to utilize that content as they wish. And again, this is all included in the fee, so nothing. He's not going to get anything new out of whatever they do with that existing content. And since he's granting them a license, anything he does with that existing content also goes to them. So he doesn't have any ability to do like a compilation episode, a best of, a greatest hits, let's remember this, and republish something. He doesn't get to do that and reap any benefit. All of that would go to Daily Wire because they'd have the licensing rights for all of those things. So, and that, again, is like it's not an unfair term as long as that expires at the expiration of the contract, which it seems to here because it doesn't say exclusively and in perpetuity. It just says that he grants a license to them to do this. That's a reasonable term. I just wanted to explain what that actually means. And again, going back into this fee agreement that they're asking for.
Daily Wire will own all of the content created herein and will own all of the DW created channels and brands created by us during the term. And be clear, we can exploit those channels, brands, and content in perpetuity at our sole discretion. What is
all of the content contemplated to be created herein. So Daily Wire will own every show Crowder makes, even after Crowder leaves, while it's in the term. So they're going to own 4 years of Louder with Crowder. That's what this says. After the term, Crowder doesn't get access, or he doesn't get ownership of the 4 years of content that he created. Daily Wire will own all of the content contemplated to be created herein. Also, all merch. Also, any new websites that are created in relation to this, any of the quarterly content or whatever that they're talking about, the annual content, if he does a stand-up special, Daily Wire will own it. They will own everything he creates in the next 4 years. He will not get those rights back to his show. His existing shows that he's licensing to them, he'll get those back, but the 4 years of content he creates, he will not own. And this is the hard part, and this is a big risk for Crowder, and this that people may not be contemplating. So let's say Crowder, he brings his subscribers over, they sign up for Daily Wire or whatever, they even if they create a subsection, it's like you're signing up for Crowder, but it's going to Daily Wire, however they do it, he won't own that either. And when he leaves, that stays with Daily Wire. He has to rebuild. So what you're asking Crowder to do here is at the end of the contract, rebuild his brand again if he wants to do it. So Crowder this is something people may be missing out on. At the end of this 4-year term, Crowder loses everything he's built yet again, which he just seems to have done with the Blaze, where Mug Club stays with the Blaze. People are yelling at me that that's true. Okay, well, again, look at the new prospect. Everything Crowder builds at Daily Wire is going to be owned by Daily Wire, which means he's not, if he starts over, he's starting over. Sure, he'll keep his channel and his subscriber numbers and all of that stuff, but he'll have to rebuild the monetization from scratch again, for potentially as soon as 4 years later, maybe 6 years later.
Now, here's this section that I know Stephen was very offended by, and I think he misunderstood and therefore misrepresented. Fee reductions. There's a different fee reduction for all those kinds of content he created.
It's interesting.
Daily content. If he fails for any reason to deliver 192 episodes of the Daily Show, or if he fails to include the ads that we agreed to or the promotions that we agreed to in those episodes, then we'll give a $100,000 reduction every time. What's that about? Well, again, you can't pay someone any amount of money, but you certainly can't pay them an unimaginably huge amount of money for their show and then not get the show. So what this is saying is you don't have to produce a show every day. You don't have to produce 260 or 250 or 240 or 230 or 220 or 210 episodes a year. You have to produce 192 episodes a year. You can film some of them in advance. You can stack them up. All of that's contemplated in there. You can shoot on a Friday so that you can take 2 days off next week. But if you don't give us 192 episodes, we can't pay you the same amount of money as if you did give us 192 episodes. So this is just, you give us 192 times 4 minus 1, then out of your 50 million, we're hitting minus 100,000. Stephen said that this is unfair, that if he had a sick day or got in a car wreck, we'd dock him $100,000, but I think that's just totally inaccurate for 2 reasons. One, presumably if he was sick this Tuesday, he could just shoot an episode next Friday and you'd be completely even. He's got an awful lot of extra time in the year.
Except in the contract, it specifically says Monday through Thursday. Now, you'd probably flex in the contract and allow him to shoot on Friday. That'd be fine. But you did say Monday through Thursday was the shooting days. That's in the contract. We read it just a minute ago. So recording on Friday is not actually part of the contract that's contemplated. Again, you may gentlemanly agree, and you can probably clarify that in negotiations, but it's not in the terms that's there.
To shoot these additional, to shoot any episodes to make up. And second of all, it's actually contemplated a little bit later. What happens if there's a disability? In fact, we'll just skip right to it. It's item E. In the event of temporary disability or serious illness that prevents Crowder from performing, the fee will be reduced on a pro rata basis, not subject to the fee reduction mentioned above. What does that mean? Well, instead of a sort of punitive fee because he's choosing not to do the right thing, in that situation, we'll just reduce it by dividing the total amount of money.
So instead of a $100,000 penalty, it's a $62,000 penalty because, as people have pointed out, if you take the $12.5 million and you divide it by 192, you get $62,000 as the number. So that's the pro rata share that they're talking about.
Contemplated, by the number of episodes, just subtract that, which I think is, again, incredibly fair. If you're being paid $1 for every box you deliver 10 boxes, you get $10. If you deliver 9 boxes, you get $9. That's a different concept than if you just choose not to deliver it, in which case we're going to subtract a little bit extra. And again, you pay somebody $50 million, you should get the work. Monthly and quarterly content, well, this is more valuable content.
Except it's not $62,000 a show. What is the actual value? That's the real question, because this also contemplates quarterly, right? It contemplates quarterly and annual content that would be produced. It also contemplates merch sales and ads run on every single thing. So what is the actual value? We don't actually know. But it's not $62,000, or it shouldn't be. I'm sure Daily Wire would argue that it's $62,000, but it's technically not. It would be some number sub $62,000 because they're paying for everything, as he has made very, very clear throughout this entire bit, that they're buying all of this stuff and they have to monetize it. They have to bring it back. They have to do the ads. They have to do this. They're buying access to the website. They're buying access to the social media. They're buying access to everything. So what is the pro rata share? We don't know. And that would be a fight if they ever, got into it, that they'd probably hammer out behind closed doors and with a sealed agreement. But yeah, that pro rata share is, it's presumably $62,000, but it's in actuality, it should be much, much less.
Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring, it's his actual name, by the way, and he used to come at me on Twitter. He called me, he said I was a threat to my own family, right? But not Steven Crowder, who has loaded guns in every room and is on many mental, he's on all kinds of pills because of his horrifying depression. He lies for money, and so he's not a threat. Like he's totally fine. Me, someone who's never had any issues with depression.
This is where it starts to break. This is where it gets really weird.
We went to his apartment that evening. We didn't know how it works. Does his mother have to come get his belongings? We just wanted to make it decent for his mother. I didn't want her to see anything drug related. Dude, I was right there. Typing that seems idiotic. Her son died of a drug overdose. Fuck, hang on. She knew and knows about his addiction, but still, we wanted to help in some way. A friend took his guitar. That was my brother.
And for the people saying I can't laugh at him, are we laughing? I'm not laughing at him.
Who's laughing?
Pointing out that, he's obviously in the middle of a fucking meltdown. But I will say this. He's doing the I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna cry about this dead Marine who died in these Jewish wars or whatever whatever angle he's taking with this. Right. But that you can cry while you're doing something sad and have that have nothing to do with the thing you're reading. You know what I mean? Like that reading that might have been a catalyst for him crying, but these tears are still based in his own, how he feels. It's his narcissism. He's realizing right now he's completely isolated. He's cut off from everything now.
Yeah. And
he's doubling down even more. He can't be wrong.
I think this crying is him realizing, oh my God, am I turning into this dude that he's talking about? Because like you said, he doesn't stop drinking. He's just fucking always on.
Go get help. Like that, there's a point where there's more than enough fucking footage of this guy that if this were the state of Florida, if I were related to Owen, I would easily be able to take clips of him, go to the sheriff's department, and get him Baker acted. Easily. The dog stuff, the winging beer bottles, the crying, the screaming, the threats, the doxing. You could show that to somebody and go, he needs to be involuntarily committed before it's too late. And trust me, I'm not a big fan of involuntary. I'm not a big fan of a bunch of fucking busybodies getting into your business and having you locked up. Trust me, that is a last fucking ditch thing that you would do.
Never had any SSRI medication, lives an incredibly stable life. When Crowder fucking disappears, usually he has to go to some clinic or something because he's so fucking nuts. He's terrified of Muslims. He thinks Muslims are always going to break in. That's why he has loaded weapons everywhere. It's like he's fucking crazy. But yet, Jeremy Boring was like, oh, Owen Benjamin's a threat to his family. He said that. It's such a veiled little threat, right? And Steven Crowder deserves $50 million to indulge in his delusions and fantasies. Okay, whatever. Daily Wire CEO Jeremy Boring published a video Thursday disclosing and discussing a bind. Oh, and he stole from Not Gay Jared, stole from Sven Computer. They couldn't talk about it publicly because they had signed NDAs. I don't sign NDAs. I take the whole no oaths thing quite seriously. I don't do hidden agreements. And Christians should know better than to sign NDAs. And so what happened is then I could say the truth about what Steven Crowder was doing. And he was on television or on his show lying that Not Gay Jared quit because he wanted to raise his child, because that makes perfectly logical sense if you're a mind-numb, deceitful baby boomer that doesn't know up from down, that right when a guy has his first child, he's going to quit his job.
Comment below. I want to hear from you. Producing with me in studio for the last time, we'll talk about this later on, is Not Gay Jared. You can follow him at Not Gay Jared. And Not Gay Jared, yeah, you can tease. You can tease.
Yeah, I have some news I'll be sharing. But,
yeah. There you go. There you go. It's not so much of a tease. That's almost like it's like, hint, Bruce Willis is a ghost.
He gets chicks. He just leans back.
So we're gonna have a very nice send off for Jared later. What's going on?
Yeah, there is there's a lovely missus in my life and a lovely lady, and I will be joined by another lovely lady in just a few short months.
It's true.
So very excited.
And
so you're really not gay.
I've done some really not gay stuff.
Honestly, let me clarify here too, to be clear. It's not like Not Gay Jared was fired because he decided to have a No. It's for those who don't know.
Oh, you're pregnant. You're fired.
Yes, there's exponential growth, obviously, with the show, and a lot of new pressures and expectations. And listen,
the hours it takes to put in the show is just it's pretty crazy, and we work really darn hard, and it's just.
Yeah, and we are for sure going to miss you quite a bit here at the show.
Yeah.
Your size 4s will be impossible. But we do have a montage to get to. And by the way, he want to say Not Gay Jared.
Yeah.
Jared won't be doing this, but he might come back every now and then.
Yeah, I'll be around. I will not be a stranger.
Yeah, he's not going to be a complete stranger, and we do
some college dates or some all kinds of things.
That's right.
Would like to be around.
That makes total sense if you think people played golf on the moon. Okay, what fucking father quits their job as soon as they have it? Of course it made no sense. It's because Steven Crowder was terrorizing and stealing from his own employees. So I could say that publicly without getting sued because it's true, and I don't sign NDAs. Because I will never fucking sell my logos, my word, for money. And so I would post that stuff, and you'd see Not Gay Jared just hitting the like button. And people were like, holy shit, Owen didn't go. So what did they do against me to try and dissuade people from listening to me? They said I was insane. They said I was a conspiracy theorist. I was an anti-Semite. I was a racist. I was all that bullshit.
Guys, he's not bisexual.
It was episode 390-something of Louder with Crowder. I think this is it.
I'm afraid of mistakes.
This is it. I found it. 7:45. Here's what I'm going to do right now. Crowder admits he's bi. Get ready, folks. Oh, this one's going to be good and send.
Someone told me to have a drink. You're now banned. Check my mail. Oh, Jesus. All right, I'm already convinced he's bisexual. Just from that image.
Afraid of Mr. Hyde wearing his ugly bisexual head. That was a short face. No, I'm afraid.
No, that's not. He's not. That doesn't mean he's bisexual.
No, he's panicking.
No. Crowder's so neat. His hair is so coiffed. Jesus, please tell me the dude's not gay. Crowder did Rogan recently? Man, they definitely sucked each other off.
And
I'm now convinced that he's gay.
It's like it eats like a fucking bug. The mind virus has been planted. You can't deny that.
Hey, if you kick Crowder in the dick, his tongue comes out.
His tongue comes out. Crowder reclines, right? If you okay.
It's funny if you kick the quartering in the face, he bites off Crowder's dick.
Wait. This isn't Jeremy Boring. Then who did I spend 2 hours in a hot tub with?
The quartering should change his name to Jeremy Boring.
Let's go!
Oh, welcome back, guys.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Brah, brah, brah. Take that.
God, Crowder, you know what? Say what you will about Steven Crowder. He gives you boys life.
Woo! Steven decided the normal thing to do in contract negotiations is to
go scorched earth right away.
To secretly record.
Not even renegotiate. Not even try one renegotiation. Just scorched earth, destroy your enemies, record secret conversations, blackmail, extortion.
How was your trip to Hawaii? A mosquito bit me, so I nuked the whole fucking island.
It's done now.
I was saying on Nightwave last time, like when we were working out the thing with Rumble, right? Yeah, there was one or two things that we weren't like thrilled about the wording of, but you just shoot him an email and you go, hey, this third line here, can we change that to say this? Oh yeah, it's no problem. We'll send you another copy of that. All right, cool.
You send it back with red lines for the things you want removed or edited, and then they work with you normally. But it's not only that.
He doxed Siraj's family.
Yeah, me too. The problem is there's so many Muhammads, it's still really hard to find him. So, I mean...
Yeah, we realized, I doxed his whole family, and then we realized that they're Muslims, and they're not fucking pussies like every millennial Zoomer.
Right.
So, really, they just said, we have your address, and they said, okay.
All right, here we go.
They don't get deals that.
They can be wage slaves for a little bit. Come over and make a salary and grow their brand.
That's his big reveal.
That's not, none of that's really
it's
that.
a nothing burger. And the way he said, again, I'm not trying to carry water for Daily Wire, but I think Jeremy Boring is being, and by the way, not to be confused with quartering, is simply like being kind of funny about it. But it's like, yeah, look, if they don't have a big brand and we sign them, like, yeah, they'll be wage slaves for a little while while they grow their brand here. It's the problem.
They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be wage slaves for a little bit.
God bless the Tuck Boy. Those things are worth like $5,000 now. It's an expensive gag. So didn't want to have to do this, but
You seem very gleeful about something
Yeah.
for a man who didn't want to do this.
Yeah, as Mersh pointed out, the guy who already bought the URL.
Daily Wire out of themselves.
You should have like the vibe of somebody who just had to go out and kill a raccoon in your backyard or something. Like that should be the vibe you're giving off. Like, wow, I didn't want to have to do that. That was ugly, but it had to be done.
You're burning a longtime business fucking like partner basically, and like two of your like best friends in media, like longest time friends in media. You should be acting like you like shot your dog at least. Or
That's
something,
what I mean. You
know?
should have the demeanor of somebody who just had their pet put to sleep.
Yeah, like
know?
like not like like a young, like not like a puppy, but like at least like an old dog. Like fucking.
Sage Retard said it's $5 on Rumble. This Edward never even did salary negotiations for a real job, and it shows. Yeah, I mean, as been pointed out, I think for the most part, his dad was the one that does most of the business stuff for him. You know what I mean?
very, very quickly. And sure enough, if you see all of the people who work there, some of whom I have relationships with, they immediately tried to make this all about money.
Yeah, but Crowder, here's the thing. Let me give you a little bit of new information, something Crowder doesn't mention here, and this is verified. Crowder didn't redline a contract, like, which I mentioned earlier, basically, edit stuff out of the contract, back and forth, different revisions. Nobody ever signs the first revision of any contract. If you do, you're retarded, right?
You're literally retarded.
So instead of going back and doing that, Crowder did not complain about the wording in the contract. Crowder wanted $30 million a year instead of the $50 million.
25.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. No, it was $50 million over 4 years.
Over a year, right? Instead of 50,
no, it's over 4 years. So
right,
it would have been So he wanted a lot more money.
Right. He wanted basically almost double, right? He wanted $30 million. That's where it broke down. He wanted more money. He never, at least unless he has proof otherwise, he never brought up that it had anything to do with the smaller creators and shit like that.
But that's
it sounds like he set him up. It sounds like he set him up.
That's what he gets to in this video.
Right.
So he even admits that he called one last time and recorded it.
Right.
So that he could get this stuff on tape. Then when he called the last time, knew he was recording it. Then he was like, "But what about the smaller creators?" Like he knew what he was doing.
Right.
He knew what he was doing. He was positioning himself to do this.
He knew he was going to release this tape.
Yeah, he always was. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Here's the problem. There are a few problems, and I'll go through with some receipts. Everything that was said about negotiations, how they transpired, beyond the numerical value, which is true, and I'll get to, everything else is untrue. I don't really want to get into that. It's completely irrelevant. Here's why.
Why not? But why not?
Hold
See,
on,
when
no.
Jeremy Boring replied to you, again, not the quartering, he
Okay, let's fix this. Quartering is Boring Jeremy. And
there we go.
Jeremy
Boring Jeremy, and then Jeremy
go.
Boring.
Go ahead.
So when Jeremy Boring responded to you, sir, it was a 53-minute long video where he had the entire contract in front of him, and he went through it line for line. He was calm, he was unemotional, and he stated the facts. You're the one who's like fidgeting a lot, you're all out of your fucking face, and you're secretly recording people like you're Richard Nixon. Like, in no way are you the good guy here.
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair.
And then he's like, "Oh, they're lying about me," but I don't want to get into all the specifics.
But that's not fair because when Richard Nixon was secretly recording people, he was very popular.
That is true.
So there's a little bit of a difference there, Is Dave Landau his Gerald Ford?
Yes. No, it's his, who's the other one? Henry Kissinger.
Oh, yeah.
Go back to the 20-something minute video, 30-minute video.
25-minute video.
You've never heard me say or write anywhere online
anything funny. Never once.
Never.
Have you
Not
ever
once.
heard me do anything funny?
Say what you will about the man, at least he's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
These offers weren't paying enough money. Why? Because it's not about the money.
But it is. You asked for more.
You asked for more of it. And they said no.
His whole contention was that if I get banned off of YouTube or if I get a strike on one of these big tech platforms, they reduce the money.
That's and
that was his whole fucking complaint.
Yeah.
If you reduce the money,
yeah, but
then
he's trying to pivot it. He's trying to pivot it into being like, but I'm not doing that for me because I could take the hit, but these smaller creators, they can't.
And then on top of this, dude, on top of this shit, he wants to sit here and cry and go, "Oh, if I get kicked off of YouTube or some shit," you're already following the fucking rules of YouTube. You haven't gotten kicked off. You haven't fucking ever broken TOS that they didn't retroactively hit you with. Like, so you're complaining about Daily Wire holding you to the terms and conditions of YouTube when you already fucking do that yourself.
But here's my thing, Crowder. Stop being a homo. You could have just said no to the offer.
You can't. He's got the gay gene.
I know. Take your 350,000 person plus mailing list. and do your own thing. I'm not defending the Daily Wire. I want to be clear here. I hate the Daily Wire, okay? I think the Daily Wire is filled with a bunch of establishment, piece of shit rhino hacks. Up and down, top to bottom. That's what I think. I'm sure there's probably a couple good people there, but for the most part, everything I've ever seen is your typical rhino fucking shitty talking points. But my thing is here is people taking sides on this. My thing is like, Mersh, it's got to be nice, and I saw you tweeted something out about it, Mersh, but isn't it nice to see now people, a lot of people that criticized us,
using our talking points to attack one another. It's beautiful.
It's so funny. It's so funny to see this. It's like, go fuck you guys. All of you are retards.
Hey, do you guys know about this Dan Schneider guy?
Yeah.
You ever heard of him?
Yeah. Have you heard of that guy?
He's bad.
It's kind of unreal to me that the only thing these people can still talk about is the money. The conversation was about.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money.
So then, if it's not about the money, how come every time YouTube demonetized you, you fucking panicked? And then you had a call to arms and then start pushing your mug club. That's every time he panicked. And if it's not about the money, then why do you, so much stuff I want to say. Why do you, what stuff I can't say?
Twinkle toes.
I know, I got it. I got it. I can do this. Here it comes. Why do you now have a documented history of underpaying your staff? And then, true or not, I don't know, but there's a little bird out there talking about that when you're released, if you want that better severance package, they make you sign an extra NDA. Not just a regular one, but an extra one where you can't talk about anything at all. So, Mr. I just want freedom. Mr. All I want is this. You are one of the stingiest people in the world. You underpay your employees. The benefits fucking suck, you know? And also, I want to point out that Not Gay Jared made it clear, and I don't blame him because he tweeted out, you know, saying like, I left Louder with Crowder because I wanted to leave with a 2-week notice. No one made me leave. But he said why I left is my own personal decision. So.
Conservatism. The movement and big tech.
Okay, cool, Crowder. Then if it's not about the money, then why don't you take the $50 million and spread it out to smaller content creators that are trying to make it?
Oh, God, no. Gross.
Oh, no? Okay, just making sure.
Keep talking about money. I'm talking about a country.
Ew. Here it is. My favorite part. It's about the movement, Bryce.
Ew.
It's about our nation that he wasn't born in.
Talking about a movement. I'm talking about making a difference. It's not about the money. And Jeremy and the Daily Wire know that. How do I know they know that? Because after, according to what he said, you know, I walked away from the offer. I did place one more call to the Daily Wire, and I made it very, very clear that it wasn't about money. That was not the topic of conversation. There was zero, as they've tried to portray this, miscommunication. It was one last call where the only thing that I asked for, my only demand, was their word, and not even for me, but for other people coming up facing these kinds of contracts.
Let's say it's a kid who comes in with 500,000 YouTube subscribers or something like that, 100,000. Let's say some other kid you're paying 6 figures to come in and do it. There's not the penalty of the demonetization or if they're removed from iTunes, Apple, YouTube.
Yeah, sure there would be.
Here's something else.
What's shocking about that? They're pieces of shit.
He has no dirt. It's literally him being transparent.
I am not defending Daily Wire. We're about to play a Ben Shapiro
And that
video.
contract does suck. But that being said, don't take it.
It's a shitty contract. Don't take the shitty contract. The difference between this is, and this is why Mersh and I are so different when it comes to this, is that we already went into this knowing Daily Wire was fucking pieces of shit garbage that exploit their employees. So we're not shocked. The contract, by the way, is exactly what I would think a slimy Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring contract would look like. Was anybody, Mersh, were you shocked by the content of that contract? Because I would never sign with the Daily Wire. I think you're stupid if you do.
Even beyond it being
Well,
a Daily
I'm sorry,
Wire,
let me be clear here. For $50 million, I will sign with the Daily Wire.
But, yeah, but over 4 years.
Over 4 years. Well,
Even-
so.
I don't want to be Ben Shapiro's Shabbos boy for longer than 1 year.
Fair enough.
Even
I
beyond
could do a
fucking
year.
it being the Daily Wire, there was nothing in that contract that wasn't part and parcel of your typical first draft fucking your typical first draft entertainment contract. Like that read like any fucking record deal, any fucking like new like that was standard. It's just
And like
standard.
I said, just do what me and Royce do and go, hey, we didn't like, what is it, paragraph 3, section C. I didn't like this part. Can we change the wording? That's all. And they'll say yes or they'll say no.
And by the way,
that
trust me, because there's some new people coming in here, and I think a lot of people that might be watching don't know the old lore with also Ben Shapiro or Crowder. They're both horrible. Nobody here is in any way different, because we're about to play a Ben Shapiro video where he looks just as bad, in my opinion. Have you seen the Ben Shapiro one? Where he looks just as bad as Crowder. So they're both pieces of shit. The problem is yes, I do agree. I do agree that Daily Wire pretends we're anti-big tech, but they run their business exactly like big tech, 100%. I also know that Louder with Crowder, a bunch of people that work at Louder with Crowder are a bunch of fucking rhinos and a bunch of pro-Ukraine fucking assholes that you also pretend that don't work there, but you really don't care. I also know that I think Daddy is probably letting you fucking sink or swim for the first time by yourself, and you're completely panicking and don't know what you're doing, Steven.
Not going well.
You don't know what you're doing. Mersh and I might not make $50 million, but we know what a scared child looks like, and this is what a scared child looks like.
Yeah, my other favorite part of this too is when he starts telling Jeremy on the tape, he goes, oh well, you're going to charge these people and you're going to do this, and he's like, well then change your business model. Excuse me, guy who's at the job interview. I couldn't just go into some like Fortune 500 company and be like, I want you to pay me $5 million a year to be a middling employee, and when they go, we're not paying you that, go, well then maybe you need to change your business model, broke boy. Like, you're the one asking for a job. You're the one who needs Daily Wire's money to scale your business up. It's not the other way around. So how are you going to go in, beg for money in a contract, and then also tell them, well, your business model's fucked?
Kids Up Above says the amount of people who believe Crowder about the movement is hilarious. They don't know how much of a hypocrite piece of shit he is. If Daily Wire offered $150 million, he would be all over that deal. Absolutely. 100%.
We're used to it by now, though.
Yeah.
It's so fucking disingenuous because, like, Crowder knows how this shit works. He's not a fucking idiot. This is so fucking bullshit. They're paying you for your YouTube channel. If your YouTube channel gets struck, it's worth less. They're protecting their investment. If you don't want that to be the case, then go in and say, hey, I don't want to sell the rights to my YouTube channel, take that off. But you're not going to do that, Steven, because then they would lower the fee.
But it's not only, but he does a little Project Veritas little attack is what he tried to do, right? By secretly recording him, and he got nothing. Because I love what he's saying right now. It's like, oh, it's about my country. It's why I tweeted this earlier today, but like, hey guys, hi. Smaller, but yeah, still content creator here. Let me explain something to you because I think it's super important you guys go. None of us are going to save the country. None of us are going to fix anything. We're not part of any movement. You know what we are? We are the fucking band playing as the USS American Experiment sinks to the bottom of the ocean because we want people to have some fucking laughs. That's what we are. If you go into life knowing your place and knowing what your part of it is, and you'll be a much happier person than thinking you're some sort of fucking freedom fighter when you're now some sort of fucking millionaire hack who couldn't make anybody laugh and lured a bunch of boomers with your shitty made mugs. It's ridiculous.
Accurate.
Yeah, it's what this is. This is what this is. Mersh and I have never gone into this pretending we're going to change the world or think we're going to fucking change anything. If anything, we're probably making it worse. I'm being fair. But that being said, all we want to do is make you assholes laugh. And that's pretty much what this is. You know, don't try to be more than you are, okay? Because explain to me what movements you're doing other than bowels when you're doing a fucking Nirvana parody or another Kiss parody or some other dumb ass. What are you doing? Gilbert Godfrey, Bernie Sanders impressions? How are you helping, huh? What have you done? Changing people's minds? Hey, I hate to break the news to you. This goes to Crowder and to Ben Shapiro. Owning 19-year-olds would change your mind segments or little debates. Nobody cares about that anymore. Kids are fucking literally retarded. Right now, they think if they cut their dicks off, they could be girls. So owning them with facts and logic isn't that big of a deal. And Crowder has never, ever made me laugh.
Can I ask you something? If you saw me getting into a heated, lengthy argument with a college-age person, would your response be anything other than, dude, what is wrong with you?
I mean, no, what I would say is like,
what a colossal waste of your time. What are you doing?
Here's what I would say. Did you fuck her? Because if I started with the they would be like, did you fuck her? And then Mersh would be like, yeah, I just left my cigarettes up there and she won't get them from me now, so fuck.
Yeah, it'll be one of those, are you fucking her? Just like, I'll tell you in the car.
Mersh, stop by the 7-Eleven. I'm going to have to buy new cigarettes.
Stop by 7-Eleven, please.
Thank you.
To be fair, dude, we all stood in a bar and watched you argue with a woman with the brain age of a fucking teenager.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
But she wouldn't leave me alone.
Yeah, well.
It's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to fight this one.
Yeah, you really were trying to get away. It was funny.
Prescription drugs do that, bud.
Yeah, bud.
I was also very measured. I was painstakingly clear.
No, you were a little too measured. You were little too psychotic. Registering domains to fight your friends and then calling them a month later to record
the Canadian
manufacture a controversy and get people to sign up for your mug club, because that's all this is.
The Canadian psychopath, ladies and gentlemen, is back. He's not back. He never left. He just went into hiding for a while. But here he is. Dude. He's back, and he's doing the fucking weird, crazy things. Look, I don't give a fuck if these people eat themselves. I think it's fucking hilarious. This is some of the best stuff. I was actually joking with Dick Masterson on Twitter because he was like, what's going on? And I was like, I know, right? He was like, everyone is looking worse in this. And that's true. At the end of this whole thing, nobody looks better. No. Everybody, and I think it's hilarious. Well, we know what Merce says, we look better. But none of them look better, you know?
Yeah, but just like they look worse and we look better, nobody cares about either.
But no, you're right. But you got to love these people that always shit on these smaller content creators and this and that are now basically setting up for a kill stream segment. Crowder versus Shapiro. Because what's different?
Has Ralph tweeted that yet?
He should, though.
Ralph really should be like, hey, add Crowder, Ben Shapiro, come on the kill stream.
Let's go.
Imagine Ben Shapiro and Crowder calling each other faggots on Cozy.
And calling each other the N-word.
Oh, fuck.
Anything's better than listening to this in Destiny's fucking debate somebody again.
Yeah, we got.
So did you read Ben's timeline?
Yeah, well, yes. What I was going to do was I also had Ben Shapiro's video response.
Oh, yes. Oh, I didn't see this.
Which
I have not seen this.
The video response covers a lot of his timeline.
Okay.
So this will be a good way to do it. Social Observer with $10. Crowder registered Stop Big Con on the 12th and announced that he was leaving the Blaze on the 15th. Sounds like the grift was planned out. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I'm sure many of you have seen the controversy that has broken out between, I would say, our former friend Steven Crowder and those of us here at the Daily Wire. And it makes me sick to my stomach.
No, it doesn't. You have no feelings. Listen here, baby genius. Let me fucking explain something to you, all right? You know what you have to hold on your head like your fucking yarmulke for the rest of your life? That Alex Jones was 100% right about the vaccine and you were 100% wrong. And no owning a bunch of 19-year-olds is ever going to fix that, bud. Nothing's going to fix it. You have to own that forever like a yellow star.
Ben Shapiro strikes me as the kind of guy that shows up to watch his children be born, and the minute the baby pops out, he goes, "Well, all right then, good job."
No,
and
no.
he just goes home.
As soon as he's confirmed that they're circumcised, then he leaves. He's got to confirm that. That's very important.
I was gonna say he walks into the birthing room, sees his wife's vagina, goes ew, and then leaves.
Yeah, yuck. Apparently, she can't get wet. Sage retard. Yes, I'm highly autistic, and it took some finesse, but I got ChatGPT with some fine grain wording to make Steven Crowder come out as a homosexual. Mercer's DMs have the screenshot.
Business partner Jeremy Boring has made him sick to his stomach as well because we had always considered Steven a friend. I was Steven.
Are you? Did you really consider him a friend? Because
that was your first mistake. You fucking even we knew you guys were all backstabbing sociopaths.
I just thought it was going to go the other way first. I thought it was going to be correct, Mersh. Would you not agree that if you were to say who's going to stab who in the back first, I honestly thought it was going to be Shapiro doing it to Steven first.
Steven's first lawyer. I helped negotiate his contract with Fox News, going all the way back. This guy.
Oh wow, you already hear him taking credit for Crowder's career. I helped negotiate his contract for Fox News.
It'd be at least over a decade. And Steven and I had always been very friendly. I know Jeremy was even friendlier with Steven, had counseled him in very rough times. I had personally attempted to intervene when Steven was demonetized in June 2019 on YouTube. I actually sounded off so loudly that the people at YouTube reached out to me, and Susan Wojcicki, the head of YouTube, got on the phone with me, and I reamed her out over demonetizing Steven.
Must be nice to be able to get her.
Oh my God, Mersh, you took the words right out of my mouth. So you're telling me the person who has a direct line to Susan Wojcicki is not the same as Big Tech? You mean the person who YouTube reached out because they want to keep happy, but everybody else gets demonetized? They don't care. You're telling me that you guys aren't Big Con? Of course you are. He's not wrong. The difference is that Crowder used to be part of it until the paycheck that wasn't right no more.
Yeah. Look, the thing is that Crowder's not wrong about you. He's just wrong about himself.
Yes.
Like, it's not that Crowder thinks you're the bad guy that he's wrong. It's that he thinks he's the good guy.
Hey, you know what they say? A hack clock is right twice a day.
And I hope it made a difference. And look, I think that Steven is an incredibly talented comedian.
That's like probably the biggest lie in this whole video. Disgusting.
Dinner alone.
Like that.
Dinner with friends. Dinner alone. Watching TV alone. Ding.
Also think that what he is doing to my friend Jeremy Boring right now is one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen in politics. It really is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen.
Really?
No. Hold on. He's Jewish. So yes, disclosing contract agreements would be the most disgusting thing you do to a Jewish man like Ben Shapiro. That is like breaking one of the rules of acquisition if you're a Ferengi. You don't do it.
I was gonna say one of the ugliest things in politics was Linda Tripp's face.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In order to understand what's happening, I think you have to understand a couple of things. So, for those who missed the story, basically...
I'm Jewish, and my wife's a doctor. Okay.
Okay, can I give some credit to Dick Masterson for this tweet?
Sure.
Crowder turned down $50 million offer from the Daily Wire out of principle. The principle of it not being enough money. That's pretty fucking funny.
We offered Steven a term sheet, a non-binding term sheet. A non-binding term sheet is exactly what it sounds like. It is a list of terms for a proposed negotiation for a contract. And the negotiation happens, then you come to a final contract. That is what a non-binding term sheet is. His agent had solicited us to make him an offer. This is when he was in his closing days with the Blaze.
Okay, so that is actually a lie. Now we got to call him out, right? His apparently from what is verifiable, Crowder's agent is not the one that reached out to Daily Wire to make an offer. Daily Wire reached out to him when he left the Blaze. So
that is what I'm hearing.
And I'm not, again, I want to make sure that, because I'm not going to let this little fucking worm get away with these little lies either. Because what I'm hearing, they reach, and by the way, you could say that. That doesn't make you look bad. You should, if you're the Daily Wire, right? You're right wing.
I think that he's afraid of legal ramifications of like contract tampering, approaching somebody while they're still under contract with somebody else, even if that contract's almost up. Yeah. There might have been some language of that. Ben might be covering his ass by being like, hey, we didn't, kind of like with WWE and AW were getting into that, like with each other with the contract. Maybe it was like, hey, we didn't send any feelers out. They came to us.
And I do agree with Batty Girl. Crowder's no different than Daily Wire. The only thing is the normies are learning the game. Yeah, that's true. I would also argue that, that's a really good point. I do think that a lot of people there's a lot of people in 2016 that were just like, yeah, these guys are great, are becoming like us, Mersh, a little older, a little more grizzled. Like, you saw Robbie Goodwin's tweet?
No.
Robbie Goodwin tweeted out, this Crowder versus Shapiro thing is like King Kong versus Godzilla for dudes who wear bow ties in high school. I retweeted it. It was fucking really funny. That's a good one, right? Yeah, that's a good one, right?
So we sent him over a non-binding term sheet for $50 million over the course of 4 years with an additional 2-year option at $25 million. That is, as it sounds like, a lot of money, but we thought that Steven is worth it because Steven is, again, an incredibly talented guy with a very, very large following.
Yeah, more the latter than the former, huh? It wouldn't matter if he was talented. All that mattered is that email list, as I keep pointing out.
And
That's all they wanted.
If you want to hear the actual terms of the term sheet, all you have to do is go to the description on this particular video or head on over to YouTube, and you can see my business partner, Jeremy Boring, read the terms word for word. Steven's original video in which he attacked us. So this week, Steven attacked Jeremy Boring and attacked the Daily Wire and suggested that we had essentially offered him an enslavement contract that would have robbed him of all of his freedom and made him subject to the whims of big tech and all the rest of this kind of bullshit. And
ooh,
wow!
Hold on a second.
Spicy boy is angry.
Ooh,
you have to bleep it though. Don't want to get demonetized.
Yeah.
God forbid.
It's really funny that he's talking about how it was bullshit that it would make him beholden to big tech while he's bleeping out bullshit for big tech.
To stay monetized on YouTube.
You fucking
To
jackass.
stay monetized on YouTube. That's why he did it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. That's so fucking great.
Can you imagine?
You can't, bro. You can't make half of this shit up. These people. By the way, some people in the chat, like a couple people in the chat, like, oh, nobody watches, even cares about Crowder Shapiro. I'm very sorry, but Mersh and I have been held down by these fucking retards for very, very long, and we became successful in spite of these fucks.
Yeah, this is our time.
This
Let us
is
enjoy
our
this.
touchdown dance, and we're gonna keep doing it.
And it's just not true. Jeremy, unlike Stephen, read the entire text of the term sheet on the air and goes through it piece by piece and explains exactly how it works. And in short, all the contract says is, we are offering you this gigantic sum of money, and if you start to lose money for the company and for yourself, because you lose YouTube, for example, and we both lose money, so you lose some money. Because this is typically how contracts work. On this show.
Well, I think the problem with these contracts is to shit on these assholes. The problem with these contracts is that you can't, in the one breath, say that Billy Wire fights big tech censors us, this and that, but also have this direct phone number to Susan Wojcicki. First off, let's start with that. But secondly, then say, well, yes, even though we're fighting big tech, part of our money and your money is on this company that we talk about YouTube, which we talk shit about. What you should do if you're fighting big tech, if it wasn't all about the money, if it was actually making an alternative platform, is remove YouTube from the pay structure for both people. Let them keep their channel, right? I'm not saying make them their channel go away. Let them keep their channel, but do not reward them nor penalize them for content they do on their YouTube, right? But they don't want to do that because at the end of the day, how can you say any of these people, Crowder or Ben Shapiro, say they want to fight big tech when they're so beholden to the numbers? Literally, how can you say you want to fight YouTube when like a large percentage of your income at Daily Wire and Louder with Crowder comes from YouTube? You know?
Yeah. Well, not only
we
that,
fucking left YouTube. How's that?
Remember when Steven pretended to be a fucking hero and I'm going to sue big tech, and then he took a fucking settlement? Oh man, we're going to take him to court. We're going to open up the books, and then they offered him a quiet settlement, and he just took it.
No, yep.
Everything he does is a fucking lie.
Yeah. And the problem is now you're making me choose. Well, not me. I'm not choosing. It's fucking both. But a lot of people, conservatives, are fighting to choose between the guy who secretly records, at the best friends, at the worst people he's doing business with, secretly records business contract meetings, underpays his employees, makes them sign NDAs. Or do you want to side with the guy who called you an idiot if you didn't get the vaccine and is one of the biggest rhinos walking around today? Who do you pick? Who's the good guy here? Both of them suck. The quicker you guys all figure out that these people are a bunch of grifters and no one's going to fucking save you, the better you're going to feel about yourselves. These guys aren't virtuous. These guys do not believe what they are saying. They've never have.
Wait, Royce, are you saying that this guy who in the last 3 minutes has said the word money 25 plus times doesn't care about me?
Yeah. Fedora says, so YouTube is just advertising for him. He doesn't make money off of it. Shut up. Shut up. Yes, he does. Stop it. Do not sit there and buy that they didn't make money off of YouTube, all right? Because they do. Because if they didn't, they would leave YouTube. Go see. Hey, we're live only on Rumble right now. We're not live on YouTube. Crowder will be live on Rumble when YouTube doesn't let him. Fucking put your money literally where your mouth is. You won't do it. None of these people ever fucking do it.
Yeah, he's already tweeting about Rumble now. Like he's
yeah,
he's gonna
cool.
come over here.
I don't care. He could come over here. Come hang out. But now you're the new kid. So you got to go fucking do our laundry, and you got to buy us lunch every day. That's how it works.
He has to rack the weights.
You got to rack the weights. You're new at the
carry
gym.
my bags.
Yes, you got to carry the bags. You got to rack the weights. You got to get us the Gatorade.
You're basically 1994 Triple H.
Let's fucking go.
95 Triple H.
Show, for example, if I lose advertisers and the revenue of the show goes down, then I lose revenue personally because the revenue of the show has gone down. So again, if you want the details, the legalistic details.
No, we know the legalistic details, Ben. We don't need to be fucking super genius to understand why you have it in the contract. I get it. I just don't think that you, on the one hand, should be saying you're fighting big tech, but also incorporate YouTube into your contracts, right? And I don't want Crowder to say that YouTube doesn't matter, and then every time he gets demonetized, he fucking literally throws a conniption on air and cries about it. So if YouTube doesn't matter, then it doesn't fucking matter. By the way, guys, did you know that we got another strike on YouTube, and I forgot to completely mention it for old stuff because that's how little I fucking care about it now? Because,
wow.
Yeah, it's
right.
Yeah, remember? We didn't even mention it because we didn't even care. We're like, who cares?
So nice.
Who gives a shit? Not having to worry about it. We don't care about it.
Details of all this. You can check out Jeremy's video. It is absolutely comprehensive and irrefutable because, again, he reveals, I've never seen anybody else do this, he reveals literally the entirety of the what was supposed to be confidential term sheet that Stephen decided to partially leak for his own benefit. And this is the part that's really ugly. Okay, so the part that's really ugly is the betrayal of friendship. So
you thought you were friends with someone you were negotiating a $50 million contract with? He's lying, by the way. He doesn't mean that. He's doing this for, the typical cry bully things. Both of these guys are doing cry bully things, by the way. You know that, right? That's what this is. Both of them are doing it to each other. Ben started out with, I helped him sign his contracts. Guys, facts. I helped Crowder get his job on Fox. He owes me his life. I considered us friends. He's the best person in the world. I mean, I always rejected all his dinner invites, but we were friends.
Okay, Fox, we were real friends. And like friends, real friends, we actually make a list of everything good we ever did for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like, and we always great to him, and we offered him a lot of money. It was so much money. Both of you look fucking horrible. All of you look horrible in this right now. Crowder's the idiot number one, because this little thing he's doing is not going to make him any new fans. It's not. And this is definitely not going to make Daily Wire any new fans, but I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care, because these people need to eat each other. All of these people just become big tech and the same fucking version of it. How many times has Ben Shapiro... We saw the off-camera stuff. Ben Shapiro talking about, I don't want to be canceled. It's all about money, buddy. I get it.
Last night, Steven Crowder, in response to Jeremy reading the entire term sheet and saying somehow Steven misconstrued this and is using this to attack us and launch a website called Stop Big Con, as though we are in the pocket of big tech.
You are! You just said you had a conversation with the person who runs YouTube on the phone to advocate. I can't do that.
No.
You literally put it in your contract that if the money that from YouTube goes away, then they you pin. What are you talking about? This is retarded.
Kids, you're just both awful.
That's exactly what this breaks down to, right? These people are all fucking awful.
You're both pieces of shit.
We are in the pocket of big tech. We who have invested literally tens of millions of dollars building alternatives to big tech. We who put up people like Matt Walsh and Candace Owens and my show.
YouTube.
We who have
And
been
on YouTube.
attacked by
And on
Facebook
YouTube.
and have been attacked.
They've been attacked on Facebook, even though Daily Wire is absolutely just shows up even when you don't subscribe to them on Facebook.
In the legacy media all the time, and who are routinely demonetized. Well, yes, nailed it. We were in the pocket of big tech. This was Steven's line of attack. And supposedly, this line of attack came from that term sheet, right? The idea was that the term sheet was doing the work of big tech because the term sheet suggested that if he got demonetized from YouTube and we both lost money, that he would also lose money. What he apparently wanted us to do was continue to pay him extraordinary sums of money, even if the show was losing money, which is called a charity. It is not.
No, Ben, this is, again, bro, listening to two people and both of them being wrong simultaneously is hilarious, right?
It's great.
This is fucking amazing to see now. Ben, no. You cannot be fighting big tech and also rely on your income from big tech. You cannot have both, right? Like, how can you? Ben is the same guy that'll be like, if you hate capitalism so much, why do you have an iPhone? Okay, Ben, if you hate big tech so much, why are you on YouTube?
Because it's all a fucking charade.
I had one more person's take that I did want to play.
Ben Shapiro, who is paying Facebook $135,000 a month every month on average to boost his posts on Facebook, just for his Facebook page alone, not for all Daily Wire advertising. So Shapiro paid Facebook $7.3 million divided by 4.5 years. Note the dates from May 18th through today. So that's $1.6 million a year, or $135,000 a month. So it's no wonder Ben Shapiro is the most popular political pundit on Facebook. This is publicly available information, by the way, that Facebook provides as part of their transparency policy after a few Russians bought some ads back in 2016. So who's in bed with big tech? Ben Shapiro. They're basically married. Also, as I've mentioned numerous times before, Ben Shapiro had a secret dinner with Mark Zuckerberg, at least one that we know of, at one of Mark Zuckerberg's homes. This is what Steven Crowder was alluding to, something that I've been talking about for years, something that he never mentioned before because he was in that inner circle Conservative Inc. club. Glenn Beck was also at one of those dinners with Mark Zuckerberg. That's another fact that we know. And since we're on the topic, people should also know that Dave Rubin had a private meeting with YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki in 2019. He's Conservative Inc.'s token gay guy, so you know they're supporting him so that he can keep making the Republican Party more progressive. He's a good friend of Steven Crowder's, by the way. And this is why I've always stayed independent, because I don't want some executive producer or CEO telling me not to cover something or not to criticize someone or not report on the Bilderberg group meetings or Bohemian Grove or Operation Mockingbird or the Sun Valley Conference, or telling me that I need to just speak in weak generalities and give lukewarm takes about the wolves in sheep's clothing and the conservative movement or the cultural Marxists destroying our society. One of the points I agree with Crowder on in his video, which again I think wildly misrepresents what actually happened between him and the Daily Wire and is just a desperate money grab now that he's unemployed, was this.
They don't want a group of rebellious rabble-rousers who want to learn, fight like hell, and laugh together. You're of no value if you can't all be kept in line to some degree. I don't mean some master plan to eliminate you. Just subdue you a little bit. Just soften your edges a little bit. Just play ball a little more.
That's a good point, Stephen, but to be specific, since I never became friends with any of the phonies in our movement and I don't have any dual loyalties, I think what you mean is anyone who signs a contract with the Daily Wire, The Blaze, Fox News, Turning Point USA, or PragerU won't be allowed to criticize anything Israel does to the Palestinians. That's anti-Semitic, or how the anti-BDS laws violate the First Amendment, and they'll be told not to talk about anti-whiteism or black crime, especially using that term, and won't be allowed to denounce gay marriage with too strong of language, or say that gay men adopting children or buying them from fertility clinics and using surrogates like Dave Rubin is morally wrong. I don't mean for this to be a pile-on or an attack on Crowder. I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done. I've never really had anything bad to say about him other than maybe a tweet once years ago when I first saw him cozying up with Glenn Beck and joining the Blaze. And I'm not trying to start some beef or big controversy here, but this is a big deal. Withholding information about phonies and frauds in our movement and just thinking that they'll do better because you make a sales pitch for your mug club now that you're independent. As Joe Biden would say, come on, man. And speaking of Ben Shapiro, remember when he was caught on a hot mic telling his producer to cut out part of a live stream before the archive went up where he called pansexuals weird because he was worried that that would be problematic for the advertisers?
So, we are indeed done here today. I have an appointment I gotta get to. Thank you guys, it's great to see you, and I will see you here next time. One thing on that episode, I already said pansexualism is weird. Can we just cut that?
I can ask.
That'd be great.
Before it's reposted?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could,
It's like a 10-second bit. It's about halfway through. It's just I'm pansexual. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, you like everything? Like,
Yeah,
no, just like.
You want to get rid of that?
Yeah, it's just like it's nothing, but
So
don't
when
make it
you
something.
when you
I mean, it is
finish,
weird that you are attracted to every single thing.
Wait, when you
No
finish-
taste at all.
I thought that was a funny bit.
It is a funny bit, but that's why I'll get boycotted.
Now, look, obviously there's a line you got to be careful not to cross when talking about certain things so you don't get canceled or banned from certain platforms, but how much more can someone water down the message if they're afraid to call a weirdo a weirdo?
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. Lots of breakdown last night. Things turned a lot more personal, a lot more explosive in terms of the relationship, or now clearly lack thereof, between Steven Crowder and many of the individuals at the Daily Wire. I understand the Daily Wire staff's inclination to lash out and defend themselves, and I 110% respect that. I understand Steven Crowder's position. I have some things to say about leaking that phone call. I have mixed feelings about it. I gotta be honest with you. As a guy said a lot of phone calls with Steven, now I'm like, so it's certainly the nuclear option. I think that's probably the best way I could put it. We all kind of like it when like PV has hidden camera stuff revealed and things of that nature. But things definitely got personal. And I have a second video later today where Candace Owens like directly attacks Steven Crowder's fans. I think it was a terrible look for Daily Wire. Also Google Candace Owens and Social Autopsy if you want to know why I don't trust her at all.
About a day ago, I came across and was sent an incredibly sinister-looking project that is seeking funding on Kickstarter. Wave goodbye to cyberbullies and trolls. SocialAutopsy.com. We are about to break the internet, literally. How, exactly? I'll let their founder summarize in her own words.
Hey guys, my name is Candace Owens and I am the founder of SocialAutopsy.com, the first ever search database that aggregates people's social behavior and creates real profiles for them. So what we do is we attach their words to their places of employment, and anybody in the entire world can search for them. What we are doing is figuratively lifting the masks up so nobody can hide behind, Twitter handles or privatized profiles.
What could possibly go wrong? Now, how exactly are they going to get around your privatized profile? How are they going to know it's you if you're just using a Twitter handle and there's nothing to identify you? In other words, you might want to ask these folks how they discover users' real names. And their answer is quite simple. Screenshots are submitted anonymously by online friends of that user. Their friends, of course, know their full names and details. Yes, Social Autopsy is a snitching site, a digital mommy you can go tattle on your buddies to. Right now if you want to. While you cannot currently search the database, they are accepting submissions. You only have to give them a name, but you can also give them a photo, the person's city and state, their current employer, any schools they've gone to, their social media accounts, and of course, screenshots of what they've said. Just screenshots. When you're done filling all that out, you tick the little agreement box, which basically says, I promise what I've uploaded isn't fake. And whatever happens is my responsibility, not this company's. Then you submit it. anonymously. You don't identify yourself. Well, that is one way to get to what private accounts are posting and to attach names to anonymous accounts. However nasty the idea is, I will give them that. Some of what they're sent might be accurate.
I talked about the $35 an hour. The last conversation I had, I knew he was recording me, and I've talked about this. It's like, he was like, I was like, you paid me $35 an hour, and he goes, false. And I'm like, what do you mean false? And he's like, false. And I'm like, you wouldn't happen to be recording this fucking phone call, would you, Steven? Because when someone's performing, like someone else is going to be listening to it later on a phone call. Like I am a tone and I'm like a human lie detector when it comes to patterns and shit. Kind of makes me a bit of a gay. Gossip analysis intelligence. It's our agency. We get all the good gossip. It's called gay. And so I know when someone's putting on a show for someone else. Like I wasn't talking to him genuinely. It's why I didn't like talking to him on the phone, because I know he fucking records everything. I've watched him. That's the problem with doing sin and doing dirt, is you normalize yourself to it, and so you don't realize how obvious it is to everyone else. So someone like Steven Crowder is always recording conversations. He's like Milo. He has his little vault of recordings. And so I knew this was coming. And so then when he revealed that he recorded Jeremy Boring, bear in mind, I do not like Jeremy Boring. Jeremy Boring made a veiled threat against my family. He said that I was a threat to my family and that he was worried about me publicly. So I do not have any love for those people. Ben Shapiro, I think, is one of the most evil people in media. You know, he would start a war anywhere he could for money.
So Ben Shapiro called for an attack on Iran on his radio show. Now, this is unsurprising because he's a loathsome neoconservative who's never met a war he didn't like.
Be that as it may, the president calls it back. Now, it's his rationale that I have a problem with. And when he says 150 people were going to die and that was not proportionate, I don't know where this idiotic notion came from, that if you attack the United States, we are supposed to be proportionate in our response. In fact, I think that's a terrible idea. The reason I think that's a terrible idea is because the United States actually tried something that was basically called proportionate response. It was actually called graduated escalation during the Vietnam War. It was a strategy put in place by then Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. And the strategy, which is elucidated by former Trump National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster in his book, Dereliction of Duty. The book is all about how Robert McNamara and the LBJ administration blew the Vietnam War by engaging in this graduated escalation. The idea was that we would gradually turn up the heat on the Vietnamese, on the North Vietnamese, the Viet Cong, until they realized that we were very serious about this, and then they would back down. But that's not really how military conflict works. The reason that people don't want to get involved with you in military conflict is because they're afraid you will devastate them. Not that you will gradually turn up the heat, but that you will devastate them. The fact is that if Iran knows that they can trade basically an unmanned U.S. drone for nothing, right? The United States is not going to retaliate in any way. Do you think they're going to stop pushing? They like this. They're the ones initiating this conflict. The Iranians know exactly what the Europeans think of President Trump. They know what the press thinks of President Trump, and they're playing that to the hilt. That's what this is. All of which suggests that the president is going to have to take action here sooner or later. Truly. Now, the Iranians may be careful. They may be careful enough that they never shoot down an American manned aircraft, that they don't actually kill an American, that they just sort of keep this at a low level of boiling conflict, hoping that the Trump administration will back down. But that is not a good thing either, because sooner or later, they will do something that damages us enough where we do have to retaliate. If you want to stop this thing in its tracks, you do have to show the Iranians that if things get real, the Ayatollahs are not only not going to be in charge of Iran anymore, they are not going to be breathing anymore.
Given the idea that Iran says the drone was in their airspace, okay, Iran warned the U.S. multiple times, what the fuck are we doing even close to their airspace in the first place? Notice, he never even brings that up. He never even brings up like, well, hold on now. Why are U.S. drones anywhere remotely near Iran, in international water or in their airspace? It doesn't matter. Why are we anywhere near there? He doesn't bring that up. Why? Because Ben Shapiro acts under the assumption we are the world police. International law doesn't apply to us. So we can do whatever the fuck we want to do. That's the premise he operates under. So now you know that about Ben Shapiro. Why would you listen to his sniveling, weaselly, whiny ass? You know, the Honorable General Ben Shapiro wants the U.S. to attack Iran. Why? Because he ain't going to be the one attacking him. He's not going to be the one that's putting his life in danger. He doesn't give a fuck. He's comfortable in his studio. He doesn't want to. He wants somebody else to do it. Chicken hawk. That's what this guy is. And the final point I'll make is this. He said they're initiating this conflict. That's what Ben said. Iran is initiating this conflict. Look at how dismissive he was of the idea that 150 people will die. You saw his reaction. He said, well, what do you mean? Who says we have to be, proportionate in our response? He's not bothered at all by the fact that 150 people, he doesn't care. Now, I went after Ben Shapiro, what was it, maybe a year ago on Twitter, because he had written an article in Town Hall that said enemy civilian casualties are okay by me, and I tweeted that at him, and I said, dude, you're gonna try to morality police everybody? Look at the shit you said. You're okay with civilians dying for a political end. There's a term for that. It's called terrorism. So Ben Shapiro is a terrorist sympathizer. He says, hey, I don't care, killing civilians, fine by me. They're enemy civilians, so what a contradiction. They're enemy civilians. No, they're civilians, so they're by definition not enemies, but he doesn't care. I don't know. They're over there. They're poor brown people. I don't give a fuck. You can kill them. And he said, well, I retracted that and I don't agree with it anymore, and I wrote an article saying that that's wrong and that's bad. Well, you just said now 150 people will die, and you don't give a fuck. You said, who cares? We don't have to be proportionate in our response. Nobody died in an unmanned drone that was probably in their airspace that got shot down. I don't care. You want to kill 150 Iranians? Go right ahead. 150. Doesn't bat an eyelash. Says, yeah, totally cool. Yeah, kill civilians. Flip that script, Ben. What if it was Americans? Hilarious that he thinks he's pro-life and he thinks he can morality police everybody. He scolds the left on a daily basis about being immoral and wrong. You're the last person who should, go after anybody on the issue of morality, because clearly you are deeply, deeply, deeply immoral.
Even Mark Dice said to lose his number because he'll probably record our comment. Yeah, but I said all this 4 fucking years ago, and all these Con Inc. people called me crazy.
This is great entertainment. And it's very educational about the high levels of media, especially on the conservative media side. It's good to see the types of numbers that we're talking about. It's good to see the types of terms and stuff that we're talking about. But let's be really fucking honest. None of us should be seeing a damn thing about this. Like, I'm glad that Crowder did what he did, and I think he genuinely was trying to kind of keep the thing quiet as to who it was, although that implication is very dangerous, and I understand why Daily Wire addressed it. We shouldn't be seeing this. Crowder kind of just shouldn't have taken the deal, and kind of the normal thing would have been for him to just ignore it, say, nah, no deal, it's fine, and walked away. But he chose to try and make a statement about what these companies are doing to talent. And I think the statement is important. I do think that. Now that we have this thing, now that Crowder did what he did, let's talk about the worst decisions made have been everything the Daily Wire has done since Crowder talked. They have been absolute catastrophe of responses. They don't make sense. Even if you agree with Daily Wire and what their strategies are, what their offers were, you think it's really fair, their responses have been cataclysmically stupid. They shouldn't be engaging this at all. They sound bitchy. They sound whiny. For a company that has the ability and wherewithal to attempt to acquire the top talent in the movement or whatever at a price of 50, 60, 70, 100 million, 110, 150 million. I mean, who knows how high Jeremy would have gone if he would have kept going. But effectively throw out the idea that they're going to pay $100 million to have Steven Crowder. Ben Shapiro saying, Crowder doesn't know anything about business and contracts. I mean, he's got you up by the balls right now, doesn't he? If he didn't know anything about business and contracts, he would have taken your shit deal. which Jeremy admitted was effectively shit. That's the dumb thing. That's the crazy thing. If you parse Jeremy's response, and we did yesterday, he ends up saying, you just have a lawyer come in and fix all these bad terms. That doesn't help you, homie, with the look here. The look is that you gave bad terms to your friend who's a top talent in the industry, and your answer was, well, he should have had a lawyer come and tell us our terms were shit. Well, you knew your terms were shit. I don't know about, everybody says they're friends until contracts get drafted, but you have the opportunity to do this in whatever way you choose. And Crowder's point is that they're choosing the adversarial way to do negotiations with talent. And that someone like Crowder or Candace Owens, who have lots of experience, who have money to afford lawyers, who know what they're worth, are able to navigate these things. But other people are not. And that's who Crowder's talking to. It's evident from his first video. Guys, don't sign these contracts. Don't sign these things. They're not good for you. They're not good contracts. They're predatory. The terms are unfavorable. That's Crowder. He's pleading with people. Don't sign these things just because it's the big name, just because it's the Daily Wire. And Daily Wire, frankly, looks like they're leveraging their name and status in the industry. Jeremy was sure to talk about that, which is exactly what Stephen was calling out. Their status in the industry, their status in the movement, as a reason to provide terms that, at least Steven Crowder, and I tend to agree, the terms on that sheet were not great. They're not great terms, not for Crowder. $50 million is a lot of money. Crowder's worth more. Jeremy said he's worth more. And he tried to cage that when we don't know if he's ever turned a profit, blah, blah, blah. You're willing to pay $100 million. You offered 50. You don't think he's worth, well, I don't know if he's turned a profit. You expected a profit. You expected a massive profit from him. So that's the issues that we have here. But I want people to know, like, that, there's nothing wrong with Crowder bringing this stuff out, and a lot of people wanted to see it, and it's good to kind of get a conversation going. But at the same time, he may have made a big mistake for himself. He may have burned bridges that he shouldn't have burned. Only time will tell. Crowder's probably going to land on his feet, and I'm sure he's got a nice little nest egg that'll keep him going. The Candace Owens podcast. Candace Owens reads Steven Crowder his rights. It's a 37-minute video on her show. That sounds fucking terrible. Should we listen to that? Let's see what she's... Oh, God, this is... What is she wearing? Hold on. This looks like a disaster. Let's check it out.
At the end of the day, I think what happened, this is completely my opinion, by the way, so I'm not blinking twice, I'm not under duress, is that Steven Crowder became a free agent and...
Wait, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
He's feeling a little vulnerable right now, right? He's used to working for other organizations. He has some guaranteed pay, and he thought that Daily Wire were actually going to meet him at $120 million. They didn't. They declined, and he's still feeling a little shaky on that. It's scary to go out on your own. I thought about it. I thought I'm going out on my own. It's a lot of work. Maybe down the line I will, but it's a scary thing to go out, to step out on your own and say, I'm going to do this thing completely by myself. As Jeremy pointed out, Steven's not done that before, right? And so to do this, he pulled a move in which he was going to try to take a bunch of people that were subscribed to the Daily Wire and start his own company. So essentially say, I'm the hero, I'm the martyr, follow me because I'm not like those guys. And then he was going to start his own shop. And that's what he's trying to do.
That actually doesn't at all sound like what Crowder was trying to do. Remember, the Daily Wire is the one who outed themselves here. The Daily Wire is the one who outed themselves. Well, this is 3 minutes, and then we'll go to we'll look at the Tim Pool stuff.
Some people fell for it and said, I'm with you to the end, I'm Mug Club till I die, and didn't understand that really nothing happened here other than nobody wanted to pay Steven Crowder $120 million. So he turned to his viewers who he thinks are stupid enough to understand how business negotiations work, right? Like, this is like normal, you kick it back and forth, and they were going to make up.
It must be sad being Candace Owens and thinking that, look, listen, lady. This is how business negotiations work. That's how they work for you. That's how they work for you. You kick it back and forth. But here's how they work for Steven Crowder. Someone gives you an offer, and it's nowhere fucking near the offer you expect, and it's insulting. So you know what you do? Instead of kicking it back because you're subservient to my big company, you just walk away. That's what you do when you're Steven Crowder. That's what you do when you know your value and someone's giving you something far below your value. You just walk away. Kicking it back and forth comes when there's a good faith offer that is worth your time. And you know what's crazy about this? And again, I love Rumble. I really do. But their first offer to me, I said, no. That's what I said. This doesn't work. Nope. And I just walked away. I wasn't offended, by the way, by their offer. They didn't insult me or anything. We had different ideas of how the deal was going to work. And I said, no. Candace doesn't know that that's how business negotiations actually work. Candace doesn't understand this. Walking away from an offer and saying, this not only does this not work, but this is insulting. Try again. That's how business negotiations work when someone lowballs you and insults you. Or insults you. And to be fair, I don't think Rumble was lowballing me. We had a different issue. We had a completely different issue. I had a different understanding of how I wanted a deal to work than what they wanted. We remedied that. It's all good now. Everything's fantastic. And there were no hard feelings at the time. It just wasn't the right deal for me. We got that worked out. Candace's like, well, he should have just taken, like, that's what she's basically saying. He should just taken the deal. Why? He clearly doesn't think it's the right deal. Oh, this is just how business works. No, it's not, actually. You never, just because someone makes a proposal that you have to take their deal.
For his loss. So people that are upset by his video, the million people who watched it, are now going to give him $1, whatever it costs to be in the Mug Club, and they're going to become the $120
Crowder doesn't own anything. He doesn't have a paid Mug Club right now.
million that he feels that he deserves. First of all, I'm just going to say this, unrelatable. Unrelatable. People are trying to pay for bacon and eggs right now at the grocery store, trying to buy a steak once a week, and you're over here crying because somebody couldn't meet you at $120 million, and it is crying. I don't like it. It was a total bitch.
Has Crowder ever said 120 million? Has anybody other than Candace Owens said 120 million? Because the only person I've heard say it is Candace Owens. Jeremy mentioned 100 million total cost, but not a payout to Crowder. Where's she getting the number?
Move. There are plenty of things that happen across all organizations in the conservative movement where I will say that I empathize with Steven Crowder and saying that sometimes you feel like a cynic, which is like, is everybody selling?
How much is your dress, Candace? You're talking about eggs and bacon. I bet that dress is $1,000. Talking about imagine being someone paid probably $3 million a year, $2 million a year. And people are out here trying to pay for eggs and bacon. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You don't even go to the store and buy your eggs and bacon. I don't go to the store and buy my eggs and bacon. You make more money than me, dumb bitch. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Eggs and bacon. Like you're worried about a $5 carton of eggs. Shut the fuck up. Let me identify with the plebeians.
Out, are people doing this, people doing that? There are a lot of things that Daily Wire has done that I disagree with. There's a lot of things that Turning Point has done that I disagree with. There are things perhaps that PragerU has done that I disagree with. I have worked with all of these companies, right? But to do a total bitch move and go out to the public rather than trying to resolve these things and these slight differences behind the scenes, and to make it seem like you're the hero and you're the true one and you keep it authentic when something really nothing happened other than you didn't like an initial term sheet, and all you had to do was tell them that and tell them what you didn't like and go back and forth with lawyers like everybody else.
Again, this is insane. If the initial term sheet is at a point that is so low that you don't think so, here's okay. If you say 50 million and I say 100 million, we expect 75, right? But what if you don't expect 75 million? What if your value to you is $90 million and they say 50? Then what you have to say is 140 or whatever. It's like this dumb, retarded dance. And if Crowder says, well, I'm worth 90 million, I got to now say 140, he feels like a retard. He doesn't want to do the dance. But if Crowder knows he's worth, hypothetically, $90 million, and Daily Wire knows that they're comfortable paying $90 million, which Jeremy kind of seemed to indicate. Let's say Crowder's worth 90 million, Daily Wire's willing to pay 90 million. Why are you starting at 50? Why aren't you starting at 75, 80? Then Crowder comes in at 110, 115. You negotiate down, you work on some terms, you come to the 90 million you agree with. You know 90 million is the number, and they come with 50. You go, I'm not going to try and negotiate up $40 million. You just say, peace, fuck off. I don't want to do this. Why are we playing this game? Why are we playing this game? We don't have to play this game. We don't have to play this stupid thing. And you've given me, what, 58% of where we're going to land? So that means I have to highball you by this much, which makes me look like the asshole, by the way. You don't want to be demanding 150% of your value just so you can negotiate down to your value. You don't want to have to do that. And then also negotiate out and redline all the bullshit that's going to come. That's not a fun negotiation. It's hostile. It's ugly. It's not collaborative. Candace like, wow, this is just where it is. No, it's not. He clearly thought it wasn't anywhere close to where it was.
I think it's crappy. I think Steven is a little egocentric. He probably will do better on his own. I don't think he knows how to play on a team. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm going on Tim Pool tonight, so I'm going to say it anyways later, is that I'm pretty sure, wasn't it Steven Crowder who also screwed over somebody he used to work with? Was it not Gay Jared? Because he had him tied up in a contract. Wasn't that Steven Crowder who did that? So is he supposed to be the moral high bar? Are we not supposed to call him out for that? Here's the thing. Steven, why don't you release...
Wait. He had him tied up in a contract. So they had a contractual agreement that they did agree to? Like it... I don't even know this drama. What did Steven Crowder and Not Gay Jared, like, what's the drama? I know there's drama there, but I don't ever know what it was, because I know Not Gay Jared was pissed about it.
Not Gay Jared from his NDA and allow him to talk about how he felt he was treated by you, because I know that at the Blaze, everyone says that you're actually not that nice, you treat people poorly, but you bring in so much revenue that everybody just has to take it. So I don't...
Oh, okay. So this is one of those fun things where, well, we know what Not Gay Jared would say if he wasn't under his NDA. You don't just get an NDA, by the way. You pay for it. You buy an NDA. Not Gay Jared agreed to an NDA. He took money for it, or he took a term, or he took a benefit. You can't just, like, I can't come to you and be like, we have an NDA. I have to give you something. Not Gay Jared took the thing, and then he didn't like that he took the thing later. Whoops.
I don't like it. It stinks to high heaven, and I'm calling you out on that, because I think it was crappy that you threw mud on me. Did it the first time via a tweet a long time ago. You're not doing it a second time. Total bitch move.
He doesn't need to throw mud on you, bitch. You just did it to yourself. Let's watch the Tim Pool thing here. You're not gonna throw mud on me, dude. You just. This is not a good look.
Tonight to talk about this and so much more is Candace Owens.
Hello. It's lovely to be back here.
So everybody knows who you are, but I guess you just gotta introduce yourself anyway.
My name is Candace Owens, just as he said.
I just want to point out the only thing I know about Candace Owens is that her name is Candace Owens. I have never watched a second of Candace Owens content. I know fucking nothing about her. I just want to, it's not a slight to her. I don't really consume this type of content in general. It's not my thing, but everybody knows who you are. I literally just know the name Candace Owens.
Ed, I would like to confirm that statement.
Tell me more.
I would like to also first say that this was not planned, a part of this thing that blew up this week. We booked me on for this exact night before the end of last year. So it just happened to be that I am on when all of this drama is unfolding with the Daily Wire and Steven Crowder. This is not a plot.
that don't know, are you on contract with the Daily Wire? Is that how you employed with the Daily Wire?
I'm not an employee. I am contracted. You know, I do my show on my podcast show 5 days a week on the Daily Wire, and I've now been doing that for almost 3 years. I think 2-3 years. Yeah.
Cool, right. Well, we definitely got to talk about the Crowder stuff because before we went live, you were just going off about all this stuff, and there's a lot to say. So we'll get into that.
Before we went live, you were just going off. This is on her fucking mind. She's just been going off on this behind the scenes.
A lot to say about this because obviously the situation impacted me and it impacted all of the other hosts on the Daily Wire.
How did it?
So first of all, I feel like I just want to say this, which is that I have.
How did this impact Candace or the hosts on the Daily Wire? How did this impact Candace Owens or the other hosts on the Daily Wire? We should be asking this question because she just said it. How does it impact them? According to the terms of the contract that we've seen that was offered to Steven Crowder, they're going to get paid unless it gets demonetized. This isn't demonetization. So even if a bunch of people cancel their Daily Wire Plus subscriptions, that doesn't impact Candace Owens, right? Daily Wire bought their content. So what Steven does doesn't impact Candace Owens. It might impact Daily Wire, but Daily Wire's still got to pay Candace Owens whatever. So how's that impact her? What direct impact does it have? Her pay is a fee paid by Daily Wire.
Never once. I've been with Daily Wire 2 to 3 years now. You have never once heard me come out to defend the Daily Wire on anything. This is not the first time Daily Wire has been in a firestorm or had some beef that's gone on, whether it's for Ben or Matt or Michael that's gone on the last 3 years. I tend to stay very much in my lane. As I mentioned before, I'm not an employee of Daily Wire. I'm not required to come out and defend them. And I'm usually just not interested in these beefs that seem to be so fickle. They last for a day and then they go away. And it's probably the reason why.
We're on 3 days now and you're reacting to it in a very visceral way. This is not a one-day beef. This is deep. This is deep in the conservative movement against two entities that are basically the top fucking dogs in the sector. Like let's not pretend that this is some shallow thing.
For whatever, doesn't really matter what anybody thinks about me. I have a good relationship with pretty much everybody. Like there's no one that I can't be invited and be in the same room with. Everybody sort of hates each other, but Alex Jones has a good opinion of me. Everyone from Alex Jones to Ben Shapiro to Paul Joseph Watson, Mike Cernovich is somebody that I call and ask for advice from time to time, Jack Posobiec. Like I'm a kind of person that judges people based on how they treat people, right? I'm not interested in dabbling in this nonsense. Nonsense from time to time that appears and then goes away and ebbs and flows. This situation though was different because basically Steven Crowder decided to launch a war and didn't really care who got hit. You know,
how did Crowder launch a war? Does someone want to tell me how Crowder launched a war? Crowder said, here's the thing. I don't want to talk about who it is because this is about the principle. You know who you are. Please stop doing this. Please stop doing this. Daily Wire outed themselves and it took less than 24 hours. Everybody needs to realize this. It took less than 24 hours for Daily Wire to out themselves on this. And then they did it in a bad way. But it took less than a day for them to come out.
With the shrapnel, right? He comes out, he makes this glorious video, which it's shocking to me that people cannot see the amount of acting that is going into this. We all understand he's a childhood actor. I loved that show, Arthur. He was the brain. Like he is an actor. At the end of the day, he's an actor. It's also why he's so entertaining when it comes to politics.
Oh,
he's a talented person. But that people cannot discern the amount of acting that has gone on in this is stunning to me. I don't know where people's discernment, what's going on with discernment, where you can't just spiritually discern that this feels a little weird, right?
You can't spiritually discern that this feels a little weird, but is this a religious experience? What the fuck are you talking about? And by the way, no, I did not speed up this video. You can see for the settings, we're at normal speed. She's talking Ben Shapiro speed right now on her own. It's not me.
Recording conversations with someone that you have told us you are friends with forever. Oh, and by the way, at the end of you saying that you're just trying to do the right thing, you're also saying, I'm going to launch my own thing, right? So just when I first saw the first video that dropped, obviously I'm not privy to negotiations that happened at the Daily Wire. I had no idea they were negotiating with Steven Crowder. Again, not my business. I came into work one day, suddenly Brett Cooper was there. Not my business. I don't know who they're hiring. I don't own the company, right?
I have a prediction that Candace Owens, who is not privy to any negotiations at Daily Wire, is about to give us some deep lore about negotiations with Steven Crowder at Daily Wire. I just have a feeling. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that's about to happen?
But what I started getting was after I dropped my podcast in the comment section, everyone was basically tearing me apart, being like, blink twice if you need help, for saying like I'm a hostage situation, or saying, what if you don't say anything about Steven Crowder, you're a fraud, just like suddenly you're a fraud. So I go and I watch this video, and just like everybody else watching it live, his first video, your instincts are like, whoa, he's throwing some bombs, he's calling it big con, he's saying essentially that we are enslaved by these contract terms. He actually uses the term enslavement. If you don't want to be a slave, you maybe you'll come work. I'm going to figure.
You know who else used the term? You know who used the term before Steven Crowder? He just thought it was private. Jeremy Boring, when he said be a wage slave. Why do you think Steven Crowder picked the term enslaved? It was gifted to him on a silver platter by Jeremy Boring in a private conversation that had nothing to do with Steven Crowder and had everything to do with small creators that the Daily Wire would exploit for their own ends. Like, it's fucking insane. Again, you can think Daily Wire is right in this. Let's ignore whether Daily Wire or Steven Crowder is right here and just be that Candace Owens is being retarded. Because that's what's happening here. Jeremy said wage slaves. Steven Crowder said, don't be a slave. He took the term from your company. That's what he did.
it out for all of us. Like, you're a hero, you're a martyr. And because I was getting so many comments, the first thing I did was that I messaged my EP and I said, we have to cover this tomorrow on the show, because now everyone thinks I'm a fraud and they think that I've signed with fraudulent terms or slave-like terms, and that's so totally unfair to me. So my interest in this is that it hit me and it hit everybody else at Daily Wire, and it was unfair.
Do you, I don't know, you don't have to answer this, I guess, but do you have a similar contract?
There are certain terms I recognize, so I immediately knew it was Daily Wire. So, for example, the fee reduction if you miss a day of work, right? Like, if you miss a day of work, we are paying for X amount of episodes, and this is a steep amount if you miss one day of work. When you first see that, when I first received a contract from the Daily Wire, I went, that's a shocking number to see. Then you have to calculate, and by the way, mine was not this. I want to be very clear. I don't have a $50 million contract. If there's anything I should be upset about, it's that they were going to pay that much to Steven Crowder, right? I need to go renegotiate.
Yeah, you need to go renegotiate. The problem is you're not worth what Steven Crowder's worth, Candace. Oh, what? Let's see. Candace Owens. Candace Owens. She's got 1.3 million subscribers on her show, on her podcast. Oh my God. Holy fuck. Okay, I'm gonna read you Candace Owens' view counts and hours published. All right. Let's see. I need to go renegotiate for Steven Crowder. Let's read this. Candace Owens, 5 hours ago, 9,000 views. 7 hours ago, 12,000 views. 10 hours ago, 50,000 views. 1 day ago, 47,000 views. 1 day ago, 42,000 views. 1 day ago, 50,000 views. 2 days ago, 100,000 views. 2 days ago, 200,000 views. 2 days ago, 60,000 views. 3 days ago, 100,000 views. She's got 1.3 million subscribers. These are not great numbers. Not great numbers at all.
My contracts. But so you see it and it's shocking, and then you read under, which is what he did not include when he says, so if I get hit by a car, like, I'm just gonna $100,000 a day. He didn't tell you how much he made. You don't know what $100,000 means unless you can see what were they offering him, and you can calculate yourselves. Okay, so what they're basically saying is that we're paying you $63,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? He purposely like excluded right beneath it that says that actually it's pro rata if in event of an emergency. That's a very insignificant thing that would allow people not to be enraged at seeing this.
Yeah, just
He didn't obscure that at all. It was actually on the screen and he talked about it, but okay.
Like when Jeremy released his video, he showed the additional portion that said in the event of temporary disability, they prorate you. There's no penalty.
Crowder showed that too. Crowder actually showed that on his video. This is completely fucking false that he obscured that.
And then we talked about this last night. I said the $100,000 seems punitive. I think you mentioned, yeah, but what about Daily Wire's cost? I said, oh yeah, fair point.
DC Journal did, and that is exactly right. Yeah. They have all of these contracts that exist. It's very easy to understand. We're paying you, here's this $100,000. We're paying you $63,000 for the content. They also have a bunch of contracts everybody's working on the show. So for example, my EP, she's contracted. I don't know what her contract says. Maybe it says that no matter what, she is guaranteed this amount of money. So if I magically call out, they still have to pay her. They still have to pay the camera guy. Maybe the advertising is punitive. If you didn't give us the content, the advertisers maybe then say, okay, Daily Wire has to pay us $5,000 if Candace doesn't read ads on that day. You don't know when you have an organization this big what everybody's contracts are. So I assume it's $60,000, and then they're baking in an extra $38,000 to cover their asses to pay everybody else that maybe showed up for work that day.
But let's be fucking clear. Everything Jeremy said about the fee is that the fee contemplates all of that stuff. The fee doesn't just work in the positive. The fee also contemplates in the negative. In any business agreement, you can have a punitive term. That's not a problem. The problem is you're putting a punitive term in the contract with a friend and ally who you're professing is a friend and ally. Have a punitive term, great. But the fee actually, let's be very clear. That fee contemplates shrink, is what we'll call it. Shrink is the retail term for theft and loss. The $50 million actually contemplates the shrink, and then the punitive term is on top of it. This is a bullshit thing. You know there are going to be days and times where someone fucks up and you lose money. You know there's going to be days and time where the views aren't there, where the ad revenue doesn't come through, where an advertiser drops, where something happens. Shrink is built in to the fee because everything is built into the fee. They made that very clear. Now they can eliminate that by incentivizing performance rather than having a flat fee. They chose a flat fee. That flat fee includes the shrink.
Jeremy did say punitive because he said, well, you're right about the costs all around it, but he basically said one circumstance is you're choosing not to work and one is you're unable to work.
Right.
If you're unable, we get it. We'll just prorate based on the lost day. But he also said something interesting that you could make up that day by banking it at any time.
Right.
So
I do that, by the way. I do that. And that's why it's so annoying. So I see these things. It's to people who don't know how this works. First and foremost, it's a term sheet. He was never given a contract. It was a term sheet. It's essentially a starting conversation. Here's what we have in mind. Everything's baked in. Some things literally don't make sense. Like in my term sheet, it said, whatever about they wanted access to my Snapchat. I don't have a Snapchat. They wanted access to my Rumble. I don't have a Rumble. They don't have access. It's literally just like, here's something so we can get the conversation started. And really, the thing you need to pay attention to is like, this is the money. And then, of course, our lawyers are going to go back and say, this makes entirely no sense. This makes entirely no sense. So then you get to, personalize it, so to speak, right? When you say, okay, well, this thing makes me nervous because, okay, what if it's not me that's sick, but my son. I have 2 kids, right? What if my son breaks his leg and I have to be? I'm not going to not leave his side, so I have to then say I need to personalize this term sheet, and that is what the contract is then for. If you come to some agreement that this is what we're going to work on, right? This is what we're going to negotiate in good faith, right? So he first and foremost lied by.
I like how they're saying that the term sheet, well, it's just a term sheet, as if the term sheet is not the opening offer for a contract. Like as if the term sheet is irrelevant, as if it doesn't frame the conversation, as if it's not important. If the term sheet wasn't important, they wouldn't have a term sheet. The term sheet fucking matters. It's how you start this type of high-level conversation. Look, this is what we're thinking. This is where we are. Where are you? Here's the term sheet. And you can negotiate from it, or you can say, fuck off, this is ridiculous. But to pretend like the term sheet is something, it's like simultaneously doesn't matter, but it's also sacred on its own as a term sheet. Here's what you can do with a term sheet. You can go, I accept. You can do that. Yeah, I accept the term sheet. What are they going to say? Whoa, 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 whoa. No, don't accept the term sheet. Of course they'll say, yeah. Cool. Let's do it. It's fucking insane.
By saying it was a contract, he lied by omission by not saying how much money, so people can calculate, okay, really, how punitive is that $100,000? Not that much. And you consider that there's a bunch of costs that go into producing a show and people that they may have paid, editor.
Nope. Actually, no, because you're lying by omission right now by omitting the fact that his contract says that Steven Crowder bears all production costs, all of it, to produce the show at the current level or superior. This is a fucking dishonest lie, and it's really infuriating because you almost have Crowder on a lie by omission, and then you reinforce your claim of a lie by omission by omitting the fact that Crowder bears the cost of production. So if Crowder misses a day, Daily Wire doesn't pay anybody. Because it's in the terms that Crowder pays his people. Period. 100% of daily content is funded by Crowder. This is a lie. It's slimy. It's dishonest. And she's trying to call out something that's slimy and dishonest. You know what? We can infer from this spurg out, from Candace Owens' reaction. I'm going to say it. Get off my fucking screen, Candace. Candace, I'm talking to you. The thing you should be most mad about is that Daily Wire lowballed you and you didn't even know. You probably thought that you played it real big with your attorney. Oh yeah, we negotiated out those bad terms. We did this, we did that. And you're realizing in real time right now that you got played by Daily Wire. You got played. And you didn't know it. Because the next words out of your mouth were, they discovered me when I was a young talent on YouTube. Crowder was advocating for your failure. He was trying to protect the next Candace Owens, and you're too fucking dumb to realize it.
I'm more off-putting.
No, I'm more off-putting.
I'm more unattractive to put in a lead role.
Well, I'm a bigger box office drag.
Kids, you're both just awful.